many more lurkers than participants. So I don't think it's sustainable. And I think it's unrealistic to expect George and Steve to step up. And so that's my challenge to everybody else.
And one of the nice things is we've been so prescient about this to say, hey, if you lead a deal, you get $200. You lead 2 deals, you get $400. You can literally drive this thing down to nothing between that and
$1,000.
I love it. I love that you know the rate card. Yes, you're right. But if you've done that, you're probably bringing friends, so you're going to get down to 0.
Oh, okay.
There is no y-intercept. Okay, so last thing, just I've got a couple minutes. I know I said it would be 10 minutes, but are they on yet? Okay, yes. Go ahead, George.
Take your time.
Okay, so just one of the things that I want to just do a quick poll. You know, in college, I don't know what the studies are, but they're like more than 50% of what you learn in college is what you learn from your dorm mates, from your, other people in class. It's not what the professor's saying. So, and I believe that's true of this group. I've always found it to be true. I have learned so much from you all, and I still have a lot to learn. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about for a minute is public equities. Remember last time I was showing you kind of the venture data, and 48% of venture investments last year were AI. Half of investments were AI. And that's not people who just rebadge themselves AI. Those are legitimate foundation model companies, et cetera. So is everybody here investing in AI in some form or another, public equities, venture, et cetera? So what I would love to know is, how are you investing in AI? And I'll throw out a model. You can disagree with it, but if you're a first derivative investor, you see the momentum in AI. So you're going, number go up. You're going to NVIDIA and foundation model builders. All right, are we all investing in one of those public equities that is in the first derivative? What about the second derivative? Who's investing in the hyperscalers, the people who are using AI, just like the steam engine changed the use of human labor and calories, and transformed that into scalable industrialization. Palantir, I'll use an example. Is anybody investing in second derivative applications of AI that are changing? Who's the company you've invested in?
Yeah, Palantir, there's a whole bunch. It's
Yep.
not only the second level. I don't know, data centers, for example, Oklo,
Yep.
or nuclear, small nuclear,
Yeah.
reactors. So to me, it's a combination of the AI infrastructure, the second level derivatives, and the picks and shovels operating services for those centers.
Yep. Anybody else got a good I'm using this for my own investments, so give me some ideas.
What I do was I was offered some secondary deal like Tropic, World Lab, which is started by Lee.
Yes.
And I look at their valuation and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
They're nuts.
And World Lab is like 6.6 billion as of now, raising 200 million without product.
Right.
So I went in and I started chatting with OpenAI and I start training it to help me look at the scope in the long term. So, and then I call it my AI playbook. And so I just keep feeding it.
Genius.
And then, it started learning and thinking,
Right.
yeah, you don't like valuation and you want to see the picks and shovels.
Yes.
So Palantir was a no in my model.
Palantir right now, if I were investing right now, I wouldn't be Palantir because it's
But,
kind
right,
of
if
like
you're
moderated.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that's the point I'm trying to make. Everyone can do it. Just start looking at all these.
Yes.
Putting your criteria, but it's smart enough to give you that trajectory with the vision of, okay, is this gonna be around another 20 years, right?
Yes.
So I'll give you an example. The other thing is between Anthropic and OpenAI.
Yeah.
OpenAI is an LLM. They're talking about inserting advertising, but if you look at the Super Bowl advertising, right? Everybody, have you seen
Sure,
Super
yeah,
Bowl?
for sure.
Right? So all the advertising in Super Bowl, like I think it was 9 out of 16 were AI advertising. So what I heard was this is the third time. The second time you had this kind of advertising was during the crypto boom. And that
Yes.
same year,
Guess what happened?
crypto collapsed.
Right.
And in 2000, that was another time.
That was the one I was thinking of 2000 when anything like a
Exactly.
.com.
Exactly.
You know,
That's right.
.com.
So they think AI is gonna, it doesn't mean it won't go back up. It
Right,
could
right.
collapse this
It's
year.
gonna
Right.
be like the internet though. I mean, you know, when a company in 2000 said we have internet, we have now an app or something.
Yep.
The same thing with AI. AI is going to be part and parcel, like the internet is part and parcel of anyone doing business. The
So-
question is, there are different levels to your earlier point, infrastructure, secondary, tertiary effects. But everything is going to be 90% other than even manufacturing is going to be AI
Yeah,
because
right.
they're going to use it for robots.
Right. One of the big surprises for me was Micron, the chip, memory chips. This is like the dead asses business a year ago. And suddenly it's like parabolic because it's always been a cyclical bust and boom business. And they were in a bust until people realized, wait a minute, we can't make the server racks that we need to run all these GPUs without some dumbass chips to hold memory. And so like, I don't know, Micron's like even up this year, it's crazy. Third derivative, energy. Who's in energy as it relates, like David said, to actually powering the gigawatts of compute?
Bloom Energy is the one because they're using it to power the data center.
Right, right.
So, I mean, that's what's happening. That's the picks and shovels part.
I think that's the revenge of clean tech too, which is, everyone's crapped on clean tech. I understand. But at some point you realize we lose so much through transmission long distance, and we're not going to, turn Nevada into a solar farm. But we still need all of these things. You move them closer to the user, and suddenly you don't have transmission loss, and you have the user paying the bills as opposed to normal human beings paying high bills because they have a data center they didn't even know about. So I did a Hubble, a grid, which is the ETF of all of these ideas. Eaton.
The other one is Nebius.
Who's that?
Nebius.
Nebius. Yes.
And revenue.
Yes.
Booming.
Yes.
But it's not only the established companies. I think the key part is identifying the next big ones. Like recently, I think on secondary raise, there's a company called Radiant,
Yes.
which is good. Plenty good IPO next year. Could be 3x.
Yeah.
And if you go now, the risk is high. Back to our own thesis of investment. But if you want to play 3x in 2 years, well, that's the return of which investment.
Yeah.
By the way, Micron's up 10% today.
Jeez, man.
Well, they were down yesterday because of when we.
Yeah, it goes up. I mean, it's very volatile, but since December, it's up like 50% almost.
Wow.
They're changing the footprint of cell phones because they can't get enough chips.
Wow.
Well, talking about Micron,
We're
take a look
gonna
at
bring
the-
back the Princess phone.
We're going back to the Motorola handset that's like a football.
Those invested in Sundays.
So-
Another
so-
spin-off, imagine what it's done. Last year was $20. Today it's like $6.
Sandisk?
Yeah, right.
Rambus is another one in that same boat.
Yeah.
So in
Jeff.
this theme of discussions about tech and
Yeah.
big investments in this and that, so my philosophy is not to be actively looking at these large trends, right? Because you can't help but be exposed to all of this in a much larger percentage of your portfolio than you already think, right? If you own a tech portfolio in general, just your
Right.
probably 10% of your assets are highly influenced by these already today. So am I going out and looking for the next small company? No, because of the ones that you can find, they're already in their tertiary raises and their valuations are already like shit.
Right. Right.
So I was like, if I'm gonna spend my time looking at niche opportunities, it's gonna be angel fund investing, right?
I love that.
Because you're looking at 10x, 100x returns.
Right.
You're not gonna find that at a $6 million valuation.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't.
Well,
So I
don't look
guess
at
my-
Palantir, look at some of the newer companies.
I don't look at any of them. I look at the ones that are here as micro tech, small cap, right?
Right.
And then outside of that, my exposure is already there. Like the only way I would say this investment philosophy doesn't work is for like crypto, right? Because if I'm not in crypto, I'm not in crypto.
Yeah,
Right? Because
right.
these giant companies like Facebook is not hugely invested in crypto. But
Right.
my exposure to AI is probably a bit too big.
Well, and even if you're index funded up the yin yang,
You're
70% of that is tech. So yeah.
So that's
I
my
agree.
point. That's why I basically, I hear all these companies, it's like, I don't know, but I don't care. I'm already really involved.
Well, some of it is liquidity. It's like, if you're in public equities, you have the opportunity to get out.
Yeah, anytime.
And that's a value. The one thing that you bring up though, which goes back to valuations, is I'm bringing deals from Northern California. I mean, we had them before, but I'm actively seeking them out of Sandhill and other groups up there. And they carry, like, there's a huge price tag premium for being in the Bay Area versus being in Orange County, California.
Sure.
And one of the things that I would like to recommend, and we will bring deals that do this, is that we bring deals that have higher valuations. We're not going to be at $20 million because honestly, the deals that we can get for $20 million are worth less than $20 million. So we're going to have a smattering of small modular reactor companies or companies that are using muons and Bayesian conversion to come up with rare earths that we didn't know we had.
And this is all, I think this is all fair game,
Yeah.
because it's still 50x less than $1 billion valuation.
You got it. You got it. And the hype cycle, yeah, we know where we are in the hype cycle. Let me unshare. Are you ready, Kyle, for?
Here's, we can, start getting set up. You're done. Remember, you have anything you wanna?
I'm just looking, if
Most
you're looking
service
for a
training.
podcast, that's very interesting. If you haven't found Acquired.
Oh, I love
Acquired, it spends about 4 hours looking at how companies got started, how IKEA got started, Google got started, Nokia got started. It's
Podcast?
10 years. It is by far unbelievable stuff you will find out.
Where do you, what's this one?
It's called Acquired.
Is that a podcast
It's a
though?
podcast.
Okay.
Super well done.
It's unbelievably
It's
well done
amazing
research.
podcast.
And
Thanks.
you'll
Yeah.
be surprised how.
No, it's an amazing podcast.
It just.
So you should listen to How I Know That Person on Wednesday.
Yes, yes.
Good one.
So I feel like I'm in the freshman seminar where, we're picking up all these great ideas about what frat parties to go to from all of our fellow students. We should bring a broker in here to do live trading. Mike round is up.
Okay with that.
Here's on the way. Awesome, awesome.
Hey, how you doing? All right. Good. George Carpenter.
George.
Good to meet you.
El
Go
Presidente.
forth and conquer.
We're just waiting on Con's gonna bring the clicker back. So he'll be right back.
Okay.
Nice one. West Cliff's been a good partner. If you want to do intros, you can, but if you want the clicker too, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll wait, just in case. Since people are wondering, this is like the break between segments here.
Get some Jeopardy music going.
Hey, Bill.
Dude, the last thing I expected was to arrive here and actually see rain. Haven't been in LA in a long time. But I'm in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'll have a picture of
Outside of
this.
Cincinnati.
We need slides.
What month?
I
We need a slideshow from you.
25 years. We've been in the whole LA region.
Oh.
Oh, I'll discuss some other meetings. Okay. So because this happened, I had an excuse to go in and make about other meetings happen this
Perfect.
afternoon and tomorrow morning.
Perfect. All right.
Oh,
Perfect. All right, thanks, Jim.
Just want to make sure you know who you are.
Got myself. All right, we all ready?
Yes. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Jackson, founder and CEO of Level 6 Cybersecurity. Glad to be here in person. This is a new thing for me. Almost all of these are Teams or Zoom nowadays. It's great to actually see people face to face. I'm coming to you from cold, icy Cincinnati, Ohio. I live just north of Cincinnati. We're headquartered, and I'm happy to have the reason to be out here where it's not quite so bad. That's an understatement. Okay, so we are an AI virtual CISO platform powered by what we call cybersecurity superintelligence. Right off the bat, I want to make sure everyone understands we're not a large language model, we're not an LLM, and we're not a wrapper on an LLM trying to be something that sells to the cybersecurity community. We are a patented machine learning engine that we're going to use LLMs just to inquire from our data to actually make the interface easier, but we're not really chasing after that right now. Because where I live in the cybersecurity world, there's a lot of skepticism about just how much and how fast we do things with LLMs purely. It's not where we are. We are an AI tool. We are a machine learning engine that is learning what works best per hour and per dollar predictively in cybersecurity at the strategy level and connecting strategy to tactics for cybersecurity decision makers. So I'm going to go through pretty quick because I know we're going to have Q&A afterwards and I'll have a limited amount of time. Start quick with a view of our team. Our core team is only 4 people. We actually downsized a bit about a year ago. We have outsourced developers now. Some of our core team are represented here and some of our key advisors who come from AWS, NASA, Procter & Gamble, Bridgestone Tire, our data scientists, former Deloitte, myself, and about 3.5 other internal employees are level 6 cybersecurity right now. Me, myself, about 33 years now of experience in software, compliance, security, a lot of it in the DoD, a lot of it in commercial space, kind of back and forth across my career. And then most recently, I've spent the last 8 years as a virtual CISO, as an advisor, a cyber strategy advisor, being a fractional chief information security officer for more than 50 companies since 2018. And that's where this whole idea came from, because the other side of my background is in data analytics and in machine learning. In the old days, in pure business intelligence. I worked a lot of BI programs for the Air Force and for some commercial organizations. And my vision was, let's make a data analytics platform that does what I do as a cyber strategist, but way, way better, based on external data, based on open source intelligence, based on OSINT, about the breaches that are happening and everything we can learn about individual organizations, to learn the correlations, to learn where specific strategies and approaches in detail correlate with success or with failure, and align that with cost so that we can give real prescriptive and predictive guidance to cybersecurity decision makers about what to do, when to do it, and why. The problem is an easy one in cybersecurity. I could go on and on about this, but everyone in any industry knows cyber is a problem, particularly in the upper mid-market, which is where we'll focus a little more on that later, where you have growing risk and compliance and growing overall cybersecurity and data risks and privacy risks and all these risks, but you aren't a big company with a big cybersecurity team and maybe don't even have a C-level or an advanced experienced strategist managing your cybersecurity. Those kinds of organizations usually look to hire someone like me, a fractional CISO, or an advisor or a consultant. That's where this software comes into play. The problem, I mean, I could read through those bullets, but you probably all know it already. Limited resources, massive risk, near perfection required, and people in this role, people in my roles, they burn out so fast. I've been there. And it's a painful place to be. Our product sells to the cyber decision makers to take some of that pain off of them. And we also sell to the consultants and to the MSPs and MSSPs who help those cybersecurity decision makers. So it's a multi-pronged approach to helping those that live in this space. So where are we in short? A software virtual CISO. We do everything that a strategic advisor human would do with a disconnected, anonymized software platform hosted in AWS cloud. We do it way, way better, and we do it incredibly fast. So in short, you get objective, always on cyber guidance. You get insights into the value of your different strategies, including where they don't have value, always with a focus on ROI, as in, are you investing the right amount on the right things in the right ways? We go beyond just the standards. The standards are great. We live by the standards, but it matters how you are compliant with the standards. It matters how often you do the different cyber processes. It matters what you insource versus outsource. It matters what's manual versus a tool. All these different decisions have different costs and different levels of effectiveness. Our model is learning that math, learning what correlates with success and failure beyond just checking the boxes of compliance. And like I mentioned, it's based on what we call predictive breach intelligence. One of the first things our users see when they use our model is, where am I most likely to fail based on what I'm doing right now? What parts of my strategic footprint are going to break me? And then you get guidance from our platform, ongoing guidance on how to fix those areas, what to prioritize and why. Not based on an opinion of one strategist, not based on the best practices you may have learned from two positions ago, not based on what's on the news right now or what's the headline, but based on data, based on massive amounts of OSINT that is automatically adjusted to your industry and sector so that you're seeing relevant analytics from the real world data on what you should be doing and why? This is a big architecture diagram. I'm not going to talk to it too much, but in short, we take from the left input in from the world, including anonymous inputs from each individual customer, where they anonymously model their current state in our platform. And out, we get answers. It's as simple as that. Data in, answers out. We give predictive modeling. We give cyber posture baseline. We give compliance summaries. We give some simulation capabilities where they can simulate interactively what might happen if they change their approaches. So it's massive amounts of data in, machine learning engine in the middle that's predictive in nature, and answers and guidance out. The value proposition. So this is my favorite slide. 1 day time to value. There's a lot of tools that say they can help you with your cyber approach, help you figure out what's the real value of all of my stuff that I bought and my team and all these things. And most of them take a heck of a lot of time to integrate, and they have a lot of risk involved, and it's a long time to value. We always tell this to our customers. You can be getting answers out of our product, which is called Listen. I probably should have mentioned that, LISN, Listen AI, the day you sign your contract. We have seen same day onboarding and results coming out almost across the board. And sometimes without even any help from us. We offer help for onboarding. You don't really need it. Using our built-in questionnaire system, it's actually called the Listen Assessment Center when you first start off. 2 hours, sometimes 3, maybe a half a day at most for the larger organizations. And you're getting answers out. Customized failure analysis. I mentioned that already. A predictive set of insights into what you're doing that's going to fail based on the trends and data and the real threats, because we import breaches and failures and academic research into failures and success stories, which not everybody looks at. We get all the above. And so you're getting that out. You're getting customized cyber ROI analysis and the ability to simulate changes. You're getting compliance analysis that talks about the value of compliance, which people just, I don't know why, but as a CISO myself, I've struggled to find insights into the value of these dollars I'm pumping into compliance. Like, what should I be spending more money on compliance-wise, and what should I just be doing very cursorily based on outcomes, based on what actually works? Instant through line from your strategy to the threats. A connection between what you're doing strategically and where you're investing your money and what the threats are. We offer a strategic threat map. It's automatically populated when you finish onboarding that shows you, using the MITRE attack framework, that shows you how your strategies align or fail to align with what the attackers are actually doing. And all this for a fraction of a cost of what a vCISO could do for you, except they could never deliver so much, and they certainly couldn't deliver it instantly, same day. Here's a couple of screenshots of the platform itself. It looks very much like a business intelligence tool, but it is a cybersecurity intelligence tool. As I mentioned, we are right now in the process of integrating a chatbot front end, just so you can ask questions via text instead of clicking through screens and entering in values and reading those. But if you want to get the outputs out for, say, your board presentation or for a team or whomever, you can always have all these graphics. You have the compliance, you have the ratings, and you have ROI information you can always get out. Okay, turning to the market, we anticipate being over 40 million in revenue when we get to 2029. That is a little bit conservative based on what we're seeing right now. The other numbers, of course, are massive. The need in this space is tremendous, but the need for advanced, faster, and more dynamic solutions is even great. We are not a typical GRC tool, governance, risk, and compliance tool, in that they are almost always very limited in how they can be prescriptive in guiding you. And they're almost always kind of, I wouldn't say shunned, but there's always a little bit of suspicion in the security community about these products that tell you you're saving $2 million because you have these tools and these controls in your environment, or it's $5 million, it's $4 million. That is a thing that I run into a lot, and that's not what our platform does, what we do. What we do instead is talk about value, talk about ROI. And that is where we've gotten our initial sales, and that's where how we're building to what this target revenue is in the next few years. Our competition, so those companies on the left, a lot of those don't do some of the GRC type functions that we talk about, but a lot of them always talk about being predictive in nature. Even some of the more infrastructure focused orgs like CrowdStrike and Proofpoint and cloud stuff like Wiz and identity like Big ID, they all talk about being predictive. And that's okay. What they really are is more diagnostic and descriptive along this continuum on the x-axis. To be predictive and then to be prescriptive is what we're doing. We're not a tactical point solution that's protecting an endpoint, protecting a cloud perimeter. We are in the hip pocket of the cyber decision maker, helping them make better decisions in a predictive and prescriptive way. So strategic and predictive and prescriptive is where we sit. Safe security, Cynomi, CyberSync, they're similar in some ways, but they don't get to that truly predictive level that we do, and they don't base all of their analytics on OSINT the way we do. Open source intelligence, we believe, is the future of cybersecurity, because so much happens so often and no one's gathering it all together and doing the math, learning the correlations, and giving instant access to the answers over time, which is what we do. Our go-to-market strategy is balanced between direct sales and channel partners. We actually signed 2 new channel partners this week, which is exciting. We haven't been able to move forward on that heavily last year. It's really picking up now. Our current sales have been all direct sales, which works. Founder-led sales. I am the sales guy right now. As you'll see, we can talk a little later on here. My next big target is to bring sales folk on along with me to increase sales, because the product is at a level of maturity where we just need to sell. We don't have to do a lot of product development right now to continue to just build base revenue. Our revenue model is an annual subscription. So one of the big questions we always get is, well, wait, how are you selling this as an annual subscription? Won't people just use this once and they get their new strategy and they're done? Absolutely not. And the analogy I like to use is, how often do you get a flu shot? Well, you go get a flu shot every year because the flu changes. And so the vaccine changes. I got one just 2 weeks ago, so it was fresh on my mind when I thought about that. Well, guess what? The threats in the cybersecurity world, how much more frequently do they change than the flu virus? The threat landscape, the patterns, the technologies being used, and the technologies and approaches to defend change monthly, sometimes change weekly. This is why we sell this engagement to the Listen platform as a subscription over a year, because that gives you insights into not only where you are now and what you should do immediately, but then when to pivot and when the numbers change. For your industry and sector, again, automatically for you specifically, given your history and what you're doing right now, you get to see an ongoing set of insights. Just like you have to constantly protect yourselves from the flu or whatever else, we constantly protect on an ongoing basis our users. A quick snapshot of our pipeline. We've got some great sales that we have sold in the last year or so. We hit our kind of MVP plus level of maturity about a year ago. It was April-ish of last year when we got kind of this rollout of Listen 2.0, we call it, and racked up the sales that you see there at the top. The rest of these are kind of either in trial or committed or in various places along the pipeline. Our whole focus right now is on selling more, is on pushing the product more, because no one knows we exist. So it's putting money and raising money now for marketing, for sales, for advertising, for getting our name out there, for going to the events so that the decision makers know we exist. And we're in our seed round. So this is the very tail end of our seed round. We've already raised a total of $2.2 million at a $6.5 million pre-money valuation. We're looking to raise a final $250K and close the round. That will allow us to move forward with things that are all focused on marketing and sales, website, advertising, more events, and actually hiring a salesperson or two, starting with an initial kind of sales leader to come alongside me, learn the product, learn the space, and then begin to really push the sales engine forward. More formalization in the process. I have a pretty good process in place right now, but I'm not a trained sales guy. I've learned from other salespeople I've worked with over the years. But bringing that on board, this is a big target for this year. Our current investors are summarized down there. We've got some great VC investors and a good handful of angels. And probably best of all, we will be here in Q1 cash flow positive with the current sales that are waiting to be inked on contract right now. That is very exciting for us because we're just spending very little money. So we're looking forward to increasing that burn rate. But right now, at our burn rate and where we are, and let alone what our overall ARR projections are for this year, we're really excited about how easily we can perform right now and keep doing what we're doing, and then about scaling and growing as fast as we can. And that is level 6.
Thank you for coming from the tropical paradise of Cincinnati to us in the middle of winter. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it was a hard decision to make, you can imagine.
2 questions. Well, first, GRC. You kept saying, what is GRC?
Governance, risk, and compliance.
I take it.
It's a general category of tools and software that we fit within,
Got it.
even though we don't fit really well because we're a lot different than typical GRC tools.
Right. So, TikTok, $100,000. What are you doing for, like, what? What are you doing? What are you doing for, I mean, are you the exclusive CISO, platform for TikTok or
No.
what? Okay.
But we have, last year at RSA, San Francisco, go there every year, I met the director of cyber operations for TikTok, who's now the director of cyber ops for TikTok US,
Yeah,
just split off. And he then expressed an interest after I pitched to him in using our platform specifically for cost savings modeling in a few specific domains. And that led through the last many months of demos and trials, and now they're interested in signing us on for specifically that use case. And then we're hoping to land and expand from that initial engagement to becoming something in the hands of their CISO. I haven't even talked to the CISO yet, but this is a high-level operations manager who wants to use our product for showing the value in, or the lack of value in some of their current strategies.
Yeah, we like that strategy a lot. Queen City Angels, do they have a due diligence report
Yes.
on you?
Yes, and they're willing to share it.
Yeah, I love that.
I can get that from Scott.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, so Kevin, good to see you again. You want to go first?
You're on a roll.
All right. I have we talked before, but after the pre-screen, I have a background in this business.
Right, that's right.
So a
Okay.
few questions. When you say virtual CISO, you only cover, in a sense, the predictable risk part and the ability for the company to see where they want to invest. You do not cover operational threat detection. You're not using AI for using agentic AI to cure a threat, right?
Correct. We are not doing those.
Yeah. Are you going to do that?
Not especially,
So
no.
you're going to stay on the basically GRC area.
On the
On the
strategic,
Strategic.
yeah, it's the strategy, it's investment,
So-
it's ROI.
So let's say I go to a large company, I don't, TikTok will have their own CISO, you may be getting supplement, but the big four like Ernst & Young, Deloitte also have virtual CISOs. I mean, you acted as one too. I didn't see them on your list of competitors. How much would they charge per year versus your 250,000 or whatever the number is? Or maybe they don't deal with the mid-market segment. So I'm just trying to get some granularity on your positioning vis-a-vis these others out there.
Yes. So Deloitte, and I was a Booz Allen guy for 7.5 years. And that's even maybe a better example. For a large enterprise, you're taking a small team of 2 or 3 people and bringing them in to be that cyber strategy advisory team at enterprise cyber level, and you're spending $400K a year on that or more, and they're fractionals. So at the enterprise level, our 250K looks like an absolute bargain, especially considering the lack of risk.
So are you
and the
offering
dynamic
any
nature.
additional managed services in addition to your technology?
Yes.
So when I look at your revenue over the next several years, you have your pro forma. I want to see what your revenue is for your level 6 listen product vis-a-vis how much you're charging for additional consultative managed services. Do you have that available?
We do. And it's a small portion, and we're intentionally keeping it small, but almost every single sale we've had so far, the buyer has asked for a few hours of human vCISO time along with it, even if it's just for training.
Question. I'm doing really fast.
Last one.
That's great.
Next question. What's your current revenue as of now? And what is your prediction, in your words, in revenue in 5 years? What would you? So
Last
what
year-
am I looking at in terms of growth?
Yep. Last year, again, we hit our MVP-ish around April, and we got just under 200K of revenue last year. We had about 5 sales across the summer and the fall to hit about 200K of revenue.
Okay.
This year, we're going to get past 2 million. 5 years out, we will be past that $50 million point
Got it. Okay. Appreciate
or
it.
better.
Great. Jeff and JJ.
Thank you.
As far as I can tell, I think, aren't you more of a CISO, fractional CISO tool?
Yes.
As opposed to a displacement of a CISO, because somebody still needs to implement it all, right?
Yes.
Okay, so wouldn't you sell to some of these consultants?
Yes.
Teams, right?
And we are.
Okay.
That
makes
could be
more
part of
sense.
the managed services, but Sanomi does it through the service providers are doing it direct.
Right, so it's like PitchBook, like I, as a person raising money for my own company, I don't need a subscription to PitchBook, I just, whoever I'm paying to help me raise that money, they should have access, right? Same thing.
Yes.
So then, okay,
Yeah,
so then.
and that's Deloitte and WWT are two biggest, these are ongoing conversations right now to partner with them to be users of our product with their customers.
Okay, so then two really quick questions. In terms of giving, so it's not a real-time management engine where you're exposing your cybersecurity details and logins and authentications and stuff to it. You're not exposing yourself in that way.
Nope.
Okay, and then last question is, I didn't really hear you talk about an exit, both timing and potential.
So this is a lot of our exit strategy, we think, as well.
So one of the
Arctic
guys-
Wolf is another one of those in particular. Exactly. So that's happening so often right now that products like us are getting hoovered up by the big guys who want to use the analytics, want to have the data. Our data set, we have over 2 million data points, and we've gathered, and we have an AI OSINT gathering tool that does our harvests, and we're special. And though we have a patent on the product itself, we're going to do a new patent on our data gathering tool, which is it gathers OSINT, not just on the breaches, but it actually does investigative research on all the companies that got breached to learn everything we can about their current cyber position strategies at the time they got breached, every time they get breached. And that's what feeds our algorithm. So that piece, that's a very special piece of it. That allows us to say, not only will you get the algorithm tool, and the UI may be the least valuable part, the data set is very valuable. And we've been collecting now for 4 years.
But then what does that imply in terms of potential exit timing?
In time?
Timing, like,
Yeah.
like, are you,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Like,
we are designing ourselves to be an attractive target within the 5-year window. We don't think it's going to be a long time. I've already had questions from Deloitte the first time, someone at Arctic Wolf, WWT, and one other who said, "Hey, is this going to be something you consider selling eventually?" And my answer was absolutely. Once we get the revenue generated and get our valuation up, we expect it.
Thank you.
AJ.
So I want to summarize what you're doing. Tell me if it's true or not true. So you are a point-in-time audit tool based on from input from a lot of data, and you provide a report on where this, where that specific organization is when it comes to cybersecurity. Is that about right?
Yes.
Okay. What is your raise? Is that an equity raise?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Price round.
Well, from a fellow Cincinnatian,
No kidding. That's great.
I stayed a long time ago. The FDA implemented cybersecurity requirements last year. Is your tool able to comply with all those cybersecurity requirements?
Yes. So our last sale was to a medical manufacturer. And one of their reasons, and they're this mid-market, they're publicly traded mid-market, which probably skip that in our go-to-market. Our ICP is publicly traded in mid-market. And this company, they manufacture atrial fibrillation devices. That was their driver for looking for a VCSO. They were going to hire a strategy consultant, a VCSO, and they heard about us. And I said, you need a tool. You need a tool. You don't need a person. And demoed, and they bought back in November. Because of the new FDA requirements and the new stringent reporting needs they had and how that need to be reflected in their 10K filings, that is really what pushed them to buy.
Dipple.
Yes, a couple of things. One is I will just have a follow-on question on the revenue. I think you projected about 41 million in 2029 based on 500 customers. And if you go with your mid-market focus, let's say 50K or so a year, that doesn't get me to 41 million. So can you give me some more color on how you get to that revenue ramp?
Yes, I think we based that on, and it is on the slide if I can go back to it. Yes, 82K average customer value is where we put that. And given that our target is more in the upper mid market, that's why we picked that 82K value at about 500 customers to get there.
Okay, got it. And another question about the effectiveness of your solution. I'm still trying to figure out what's the compelling value proposition that you bring to your customers vis-a-vis other companies that are already in this very crowded market. Can you help me understand what's compelling value proposition? And B, would we be able to get to talk to a customer at the right time to verify the value proposition?
Absolutely. We've already had our investors talk to several of our customers and be very open to that again. So the key in the value proposition is the market for orgs that know they need strategic cybersecurity help is enormous and growing, especially in the mid-market and in the upper mid-market. And to have a product that doesn't increase their technical risk because we don't connect, that has same day time to value, and that is predictive in nature, and that does the compliance stuff, but is also threat sensitive, et cetera, and threat tracking and threat modeling. That's where our value position, it's those orgs who would hire me, a vCISO, who learn that there is a far better way for them to use their money, spend less money and get far more from it and get it immediately. That's where our value proposition lies.
It's kind of faster, cheaper versus your
Yes.
competition.
Faster, cheaper, and better, which is pretty rare.
Okay, last question, Pat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So what's keeping CrowdStrike and all those other people that already have all the data to add that advisory layer that you're doing?
Hopefully acquiring us. So a lot,
That's what I thought.
yeah,
That's what you're
because
doing.
a lot of them are doing, they don't really want them to go to the strategy layer. Like you don't see CrowdStrike selling strategy unless it's a person. They sell you a consultant. So Safe Security, Synomi does a lot of what we do, but they only sell themselves to MSPs and MSSPs. They do not direct sell. They're targeting that mid-market and lower that does everything through their MSP. And they know the MSP is providing all their security. So Synomi is a tag-along sale there. But we see, especially like with Arctic Wolf and some of the big providers that are like that do concierge services, more and more need for them to be able to have products that will deliver for the CISO. And the CISOs are getting more and more interested in it as well.
Here's the last quick question. Let's say they use you and they, based on your, if something does go wrong, who's liable?
Not us. We put that in the contract necessarily front and center, and it's very much like the language in any consulting contract, where the consultant engages with you, but they are not liable for the breaches that happen to you, even if you take their advice. So we, in our language in the contract, it appears like this is a tool. These are analytics. They are not, they are not some form of magical answers. They are analytics, and you use them and you implement at your own risk, et cetera, et cetera. So very much like in all of my vCISO engagements.
Okay, nice job.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job.
All right, thanks all.
If you'll give it to us for free to make sure you can be the virtual CISO of TCA, right?
You know,
I'm just thinking.
We could use one.
it's funny you mentioned that. A couple of our investors have said, yeah, we don't really do a lot. So our MSP does everything. And I'm like, do you know if that's the right use of your money? And they're like, I don't know. So
Oh, we have JJ, you can talk to him.
Thanks, thank you guys. Fantastic. Have a good day, all.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna start with pros. Take anyone's.
Who's taking notes?
I'll
do it. Ready? Well, Bill will do it. Wow.
That.
Mr. Cypher.
Thank you.
I know what he's gonna say now.
Okay, you guys stop rehearsing.
We always do this.
You wanna go?
All right, I like the market. The market's gonna continue to be big and growing, especially with AI now. We're seeing more threats come in the market, into play. They're fitting, I thought he did a really good job on the competition slide, except he didn't mention the for paid services like Deloitte, but far as a technical solution, I think he really nailed that well. His background is really good. He has Queen City Angels, who I truly respect. I'll talk to Scott and get their due diligence report, as well as a few other angel investors. So we're not first in the deal. His valuation is not overly egregious, maybe a little high, but he's doing 2 million this year. An 8.5, valuation post is not a bad deal given what we have seen in the past. He has a large pipeline of $2.9 million. He has a predictive model, which I like. He has a very focused marketing strategy to go direct to some of the mid-market companies. He provides value relative to the big four virtual CISOs, the Deloittes and the EYs and all. And he has, again, he has a good background as a virtual CISO in data, analytics. I don't think they do the entire realm of virtual CISO though. That's the big thing.
Yeah. Other positives.
Somebody online may want to say something.
Okay.
He's got a pipeline,
It definitely has a pipeline.
big pipeline.
And he obviously has the capacity to sell. He's engaging and commercial and smart.
Yeah.
Toby.
I was gonna say that, I mean, he clearly, is wired on the sales side, and I think it's gonna be hard for him to bring someone in that's gonna sell like him.
Yeah, true.
He'll be the technical sales. They'll bring him in as the visionary, but they'll get a really good sales closer. He's not a, just kind of guy. But he can talk to the people, which is really important as part of a team sell.
So I think what we haven't explored is kind of the area of IP, like how truly defensible is this type of software?
I didn't get to handle that. That's going to be the concern on the patents or the process, because
And especially with the evolution pace of AI and AI as a threat.
Right.
I don't even know.
so you need to really figure out where his SLM is, because that's what he's going to leverage. But that's a good due diligence question.
That's kind of where Pat was going with, like, CrowdStrike, all these people,
They're
are
gonna start using
riding
AI.
the mortgage on this.
CrowdStrike, that's lower level. Think about it as a tier. He's
I
in
get it.
strategy.
Right.
They're operational. They're the troops that go in and fix things.
They have the data sets to define better strategies.
Well, the question I think you really want to ask, my opinion, is how do you pull in the data from
Yes.
CrowdStrike, from your Barracudas, from your,
Well,
Fortinets,
That's
and
the-
integrate it?
that's the concern, is that those guys could easily become very effective competitors because of AI.
Well, it depends on their focus. They haven't really gotten into the virtual CISO market. They're better off selling their equipment where they are. But a good partnership, or maybe they buy him as an adjunct. I mean, so those are the things we need to look at, but they're great questions, Chip.
Well, and just follow that up 4 years, by 2029, he's 41 million in revenue. There may also be super intelligence by 29 or 30. This is like, what's better to exploit a network than something that knows absolutely every line of code and maybe is written half of it? I don't know that this is a durable business. That's my one.
Well,
issue.
I'll counter that.
How do you keep
It
it?
depends on his roadmap. And I talked to him after the pre-screen.
Yeah.
If he's not going to integrate agentic AI to move down from
Right.
strategy into operational, because a lot of these companies don't have CISOs, they don't have big teams.
Right.
You want the agentic AI to be able to take a threat and take care of that threat.
Right.
So that's the question.
Implementation.
Right.
Well, yeah, so that's where I think I would feel comfortable, either he gets bought out by then and he becomes part of that, or he integrates other threat vectors coming in from these other devices and makes it agentic AI to take care of that threat in addition to strategy.
So at the highest level, what is a reasonable exit for a software company with $40 million in revenue?
We would take it out at about 8x.
So 320 million, 6 million now, and then we have no idea what the market is.
So you need to ask what's his next funding. The problem is he may need additional funding for marketing. He said he'll break even. I think you want to be able to spend more money to grow.
Yeah.
Because this is, because it goes to the point that others can penetrate the market. He needs to establish himself as the gorilla in that market. So that's a question. Another question would do.
He's raising Series A in 2027.
Huh?
He said,
Raising 2027.
so say he bumps up to 15 million valuation, he sells, if he hits his revenue targets, he sells at 20x in 5 years.
20x, and we'll get diluted, so that'll be
Just say 20x, right?
at 12x or 14x for us if he dilutes.
My concern is the stickiness, right? You get people to sign on, something else comes on,
Right.
they go.
This
jump
is software in a
Exactly.
vastly,
And so there's,
frantically changing.
yeah, it's easy to change.
Hold on,
Or is there a stickiness?
Well, there
What
is a
can you
stickiness
do?
in terms of he has to pull in information. I would assume, this is what we have to figure out, he has to pull in information from that corporation. You don't want to go through eliminating somebody and having somebody now having to duplicate the information and do the setup. It's like when we went from Spark to,
But this is a half a day
to
setup. That's
steroids.
what his own claim is. It's only a 2-4 hour setup.
Well, he may have that. The question is, what does he do in the setup different than somebody else?
I think there's a legitimate question about, is it a durable asset? If we
So
want to invest in.
the days of AI is eating software.
Right.
The landscape is moving so fast.
This is the crux of my issue, which is
Uncertainty.
the return at 20x, an optimistic point of view compared to the risk associated with what we know is a vastly fast changing
Yep.
environment.
Every day something
All
is
over
news
change.
breaking about software.
Well, the next change is gonna be agentic. He's not doing, he's doing some, but only on the strategy level. So we have to figure out what he's gonna do operationally and what he's gonna do with agentic for threat incident, response. I don't know the answer. I mean, he didn't say it, but that's what I would be looking at.
Buying a really good DVD player in a world that's heading to streaming.
Hey, it's beta and it's way better than VCR.
Remember, some of us have invested in a company called Orna, which did something similar to this.
Right.
And that's not going as well as we would have liked either, so there's kind of.
At the end of the day, to me, it's two-part, right? How sticky, how quickly can he get the customer and being sticky? The other half, my concern is just like Lou was saying, even though he's getting the customer in, he's defending environment, outside kid attacking, he had to keep changing to that too. So it's a very dynamic business model where we don't know, with a lot of moving part, that you don't know where your investment is gonna keep growing steadily,
Right.
because even his technology itself can get outdated in a couple of years.
That was one thing that kind of concerned me, is like, I would have at least one absolutely excruciatingly powerful example of what I did that saved TikTok or whoever, one of his clients. I didn't see that. I mean, I saw all the platforms and the boxes and arrows. I didn't see like here's what we did that nobody else can do.
Well, he just started.
In the
he
real
doesn't
world.
have that data yet.
Yeah, but then if I don't have that, then I think this is a guy who could sell and could be a virtual CISO. And now he's embedded all of his smarts into a chip. Okay, that's fine, but you're just showing me strategy. I want to
What you
see.
need in the due
real
diligence, if we
examples.
go to due diligence, you want him to go through a few of the existing use cases.
Right.
What happened over the last 6 months, basically.
Right.
And what has been the outcome. And then the other thing that we would want to do clearly is go talk to some of the companies that he has. Why did they select him?
Right.
What did they look at?
Yeah.
And what are they gaining?
What's
as
their
an
unfair
advantage?
advantage?
At this point, stickiness.
Yep, I think that will be the key. I don't think, he has really articulated the compelling value proposition. I have friends and family who are CIOs, and they tell me that they get half a dozen companies every day pitching cybersecurity and shit like that. Sorry about my French, but
CIOs don't act as CISOs though. They're
But-
two different functions.
well, but the point is that, even if it is just, I can get you on board in a day, or whatever the key value proposition that stands out versus the crowd, that is something that he will need if he wants to scale. You can always get people who will kick tires with you. But at the end of the day, if you want to build a company, you really need to scale, and you need to get to that point by convincing the customer you have the most compelling value proposition, because it's a very crowded market.
Sorry, go
I
James.
think if you look at their team slide, he's got 4 advisors, probably not on the payroll. It seems like he's got 2 kids working there. I think it's just a one-man shop right now. He really has just one employee. So one man, one person.
It is a one-man shop.
Yeah, so,
That's his burn rate.
yeah.
That's the most relevant,
So what is he using the money for? Probably for
marketing and sales.
marketing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and I think it's a really good point.
I still feel like he is offering a service that's nice to have, good to have, but if I don't use it, it's not gonna break it, right?
Yeah.
And that's my concern,
It's a tool.
Yeah.
right?
What do you mean if he doesn't use it, it won't break anything?
Meaning it's a tool and I'm a CISO, I used it once, but I'll hire somebody for it, but if my budget gets cut, I won't have budget, I'm not gonna hire it.
So I'm gonna,
Versus if you build a platform or infrastructure, you're
The
always.
point
gonna
is, it may not
invest
be a
in-
CISO operating in this area anyway. I mean, you may be able to, but I'd rather spend $150 for a CISO, $150,000 a year, go with a Deloitte, or would I want to have a $35,000 virtual CISO to at least enable me to get partially?
But I'm
Do that
saying,
ask
let's
them.
say you have economic downturn, and all your budgets are cut.
You're kind of
Where
not
are you
gonna
gonna
cut
cut
your
first?
cybersecurity, you're not gonna say
So-
cybersecurity.
No, you're gonna use that for
Thank you.
security, but you don't
Thank you.
necessarily wanna
It's time
be
to vote.
advisor.
the magic QR code is up. You're voting with your dollars. These are dollars that are considering. So you're just saying, if this passed through due diligence all the way and every answer was a happy surprise, I would put in 10,000, 20,000, million, whatever you think is fair. And you're going to the interest page. This QR code will take you to the interest page.
Oh,
Or
you,
I'm sorry?
this will take you to the company page.
Company page.
So if you're not familiar with the new voting process, you're gonna click on interest. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and raise your hand, I can show you.
Yeah, I don't have.
I don't think you're logged in. I don't think you're
You
logged
have
in.
to log in.
Basically, that's what I'm.
So you don't need to log in, it's.
Is there anybody that's unable to log in to Startup Steroid, the finest software in all of it?
Easy enough to log in.
Oh, get a log in, to see that.
He's gonna be,
Not letting you log in or not taking it? Okay.
It was much interest, you think? Number, I say 40K.
40? Yeah. Less.
I say less.
Similar to the software company we had last time.
I wasn't here last week.
Yeah, you know, that supply chain. Oh, okay. So, I mean, it's better than that probably. So 45 years. Because this guy actually has structure. That's all.
So is there anybody who would like to lead the deal if we go forward?
So did we pass the
Are
bar?
we going forward?
No, but I'm just asking now, if there's someone who wants to lead.
I'll do the deal if we go forward.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dave.
Oh.
And then after that, I'm gonna show them just doing the QR code again.
I'm banned from investing until I close on my house mid-April. Because the assets are being assigned to the house.
Is that?
Since I don't have it, it's like,
Are you gonna be living in a Volkswagen sedan at the beach? Is that where you're gonna live?
Hey, look at your garage.
That's my fear.
That's the law he does, he doesn't have an
You know
account.
what? It's called arbitrage, take a line of credit out of the house.
I already did the line of credit, I think.
Oh, okay, so you have an account.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
My wife put
Okay, you are.
You're waiting for your memory care, you don't have to mention.
I wish I had memory. I wish I would.
He hasn't voted yet.
What? I voted.
Yes.
No, you got a vote, you got a vote under interest, not under.
Oh, okay, I gotta go down.
On the interest, yeah.
Not under the-
Hey, my 40K is dependent upon knowledge of using the technology.
Hang on.
I would just have everybody stick up fingers for 10K.
One hand is 25K.
Yeah. I do, I think I like this. I just read that. But I do have some questions.
So. Should be interesting.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
You bet.
Now-
Okay, David's willing to lead. Kyle, are you gonna show the scoreboard?
Is everyone in?
Oh,
How many you got?
I feel like the Jerry Lewis
I
telephone.
can't figure out how to get on. I've got on every other time. I see on.
Well, not a lot of interest on it.
I moved it around.
No, you
interest
should
other
have
than
said
me.
here.
How about it?
I
don't see it.
Well, there's no interest. I'm looking at,
David 20.
yeah, I'm the only one.
The 20?
Well, I'll tell my wife she can buy another bed.
Rent encounters.
Yeah, I guess.
Save you money.
Yeah.
I didn't see a second.
The worst thing was going to the mortgage company and she found out how much I had invested in the startup world. Local listed.
The fact that they would give you a 30-year loan is pretty amazing.
I totally buy into that. It's not a 30-year loan.
Please don't hurt me.
It's only a 10-year loan. She has been paid already.
Okay, so that's a no-go.
You don't need to leave, David.
I'll leave it.
10,000 is the threshold.
Great.
Yes,
You
exactly.
got the next one teed up?
He's the only leader.
Yes.
Let me let him in.
Everyone ready?
Yep.
Alright, here's our Oregon, BMI Oregon.
Wow, love that. I have so much respect for TCA.
It's like crypto.
I'm trying to get them to teach you.
That would be great. That'd be great.
Good morning, BMI Oregon Bank team. Are you able to hear us?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining. As discussed, you have 12 minutes to present, followed by a 12-minute Q&A. So whenever you're ready, feel free to share your screen and kick it off.
I will share my screen. Can everybody see my screen with the cover page?
It's loading. See your screen.
There you go.
Yes?
Yes.
Matt, just
Okay.
through the presentation mode.
We're going to jump around on slides, so this is presentation mode. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm Carrie DiMarzio, CEO, co-founder at BMI Oregon Bank. Excited to share with you on what we're doing here to transform transplantation. I want to highlight our first product that you will see us come into the market with is the Oregon Bank kidney, and the FDA has given us breakthrough device designation. I'll explain why when we get into the science and the preclinical data into the slides. The team backing this comes from key opinion leaders. From the far right, you will see that Prabir Roy Chowdhury, he is the immediate past president of the American Society of Nephrology. David Axelrod is a world-leading transplant economist, and Kevin Smunt is a retired CEO, but oversees and is the leader of the OPO organizations, which is organ procurement organizations who maintain ownership of the kidneys before they go to the recipient. Co-inventors of this device. This device was co-invented by transplant surgeons for transplant surgeons. So Dr. Barbas, renowned transplant surgeon, he's very hands-on, and his fellow Nader Abraham, Dr. Abraham, has works with us and has been with us along the way, designing this specifically for their needs and knowing what the market needs. Dr. Varun Kaparthi comes with 14 plus years of perfusion technology, and so we're happy to have him. Myself, David Gerber, our Chief Medical Officer, has led over 41 clinical trials. He is also a transplant surgeon and now is head of University of Cincinnati Hospital. And Paul Volovich, who is here with me today, our Chief Financial Officer with a lot of Wall Street background and also entrepreneur and exited startup. I have Paul Quadros with me as well. He is a board advisor and comes with 40 plus years of VC experience. So let me move into the problem. The problem we face is that today we have 100,000 people on the wait list. Many die while waiting because, as you can see, while you're on dialysis, you have a 12% 10-year survival. The waiting time on the wait list is about 6 to 7 years. What we know is if these patients could receive a kidney transplant, they have a 78% 10-year survival. We also know we have a supply available. Nearly 90% of donated kidneys are potentially transplantable and are not used. So we know that we can tap into this supply because of our unique solution. Today, what we have and the reason we have that level of waste in kidney usage is because we have a Generation Zero, which is your ice cooler. Many of you seen on TV, Grey's Anatomy, all the shows. And then Generation One is not much different. It is still cold storage that has fluid flowing through it. So that's a LifePort device. It stays at a 4 degrees Celsius cold state. This is a hibernating state that essentially just slows down the death process of the cells. This causes the long wait list issues that we talked about in the first slide. What is needed from transplant surgeons, they've told us, is they need more time and they need the ability to evaluate the organ's function so that they can confidently say, yes, they'll take that organ and transplant it. Next slide. Here's just an explanation of helping understand the unique approach that's going to be transformational and how it's going to transform transplantation. We are moving in. This is the closed loop preservation circuit to give you an idea of what we do. So on the device, the kidney is placed. It comes from the donor. It's placed in a sterile pack that is a one-time use. It's a closed loop circuit. We have a proprietary fluid that replaces blood. It gives nutrients and electrolytes that serve the tissue and the organ at a low metabolic rate. We have an oxygenator that acts in the place of the lungs, and we have a proprietary pulsatile flow that is mimicking the physiological heartbeat. The software is the brains, and the software is driving this as well as giving real-time feedback from the kidney. So every kidney gets treated according to its specific needs. This ends up with a happy, healthy kidney and how we're going to utilize that available supply. Some examples, this is the device on the left. While it's on the device at the room temperature state, it's a low metabolic state. It does produce urine. So we're able to do urine analysis. We are able to measure oxygen intake. Through urine analysis, we're able to challenge the kidney to see if it clears creatinine. This is the same as what we do in our bodies when we go to the doctor and they do a creatinine clearance check to determine function. Next slide. An example of a marginal kidney that may come from a donor. This is a pig model, so I'll make sure to let you know that, but this is similar. A kidney from a donor may be mottled looking the way it is on the left. That means that it did not get good perfusion. It did not flush well. 24 hours, well, 5 minutes, it was as clean as the one in the middle. That's a typical perfused kidney when there's no blood. And this is clean. This is showing us that we got full perfusion through the vasculature. We, at one point, before we started our auto transplant, we simulated transplant and we put blood back into the kidney, and here you can see how smooth and how fully perfused it was with whole blood. The transplant surgeon said, if I had seen this, I would have transplanted that kidney. That equals a saved life. This is a lot, but I'll tell you, this is our auto transplant study. What we mimicked was the worst of the worst. The first picture, 30-minute warm ischemic time. This is us creating a cardiac death patient. This means the heart stops, the kidney no longer receives flow, it starts to warm up, and it turns black. These are the kidneys that are not being used today, very rarely, and are very high risk for a transplant surgeon because they don't know if they work or not. So move that kidney into organ bank in the middle picture. You can see how quickly it cleared. This is our acellular perfusion fluid. There's no red blood cells. There's no blood. It's very clean, and it eliminates the need for whole blood, which is a problem in itself. Blood is a crisis we have. So moving to the study, we did our auto transplant study. This is the information and the results. 40% of the kidneys coming off of the cold perfusion had delayed graft function. This means the kidney did not work within 7 days of the animal, and 0% on BMI organ bank. All of the kidneys worked immediately when they were reimplanted back into the animal. We also have tested on human kidneys, and we have 72 hours of stable perfusion, so we can share that later. This was what got the FDA to identify this as a breakthrough designation device. Next slide. Just to highlight what is so unique that doesn't exist today that enabled us to receive breakthrough device designation is that we are room temperature, first in class and best in class in that temperature range. This enables a low metabolic rate. We give it oxygen, it can uptake the oxygen. This provides assessment capabilities, so uptake of oxygen gives the opportunity to measure other metrics, and then we have blood-free. This doesn't require blood.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Let me
Cool.
go into the market structure and a little bit of our business model. So as we highlighted, it's a medical device that has a Deval solution as well as a disposable set. So we are going to have a hardware razor blade model. We are going to give the device that you saw in the previous pictures away for free, and then we are going to sell the disposables for roughly $9,500 per surgery. Carrie mentioned something called an organ procurement network. There are 55 of them around the United States. Those are the folks that are tasked with procuring the kidney and then finding a transplant center that's willing to accept the kidney. So what's great about our marketplace is it's a very captivated audience. There's only 55 customers that we have to penetrate. Many of them are well aware of our machine already and are anxiously waiting for us to advance it through the FDA. So it's $5,500. We sell the disposable. An OPO will break even. We will break even on our device after about 5 to 6 kidney transplants. The great thing about this space, 100% reimbursed by Medicare. So what effectively happens is 80 to 85% of all transplants happen under the umbrella of Medicare. Medicare pays the transplant center, and then the transplant center reimburses the OPO for the procurement of that kidney, inclusive of the disposable that we're talking about here today. 100% reimbursed upon FDA approval. This gives us a little bit more background into the size of the market. Our SAM is a $3.6 billion market. I wanted to quickly touch on competition. There are essentially 3 swim lanes in this space. There's current standard of care, which we call cold temperature. That's the LifePort device. It does not provide real-time kidney assessment metrics. It does not have the ability to produce urine. It does not take in oxygen. That sells for roughly $3,500 to $10,000, depending on which competitor. Then there's Transmedics and Organox. They are in a research mode. They're primarily focused today on liver, heart, and lung. Organox did a kidney study about a year ago. They were not successful with their body temperature technology. Transmedics is still in research trying to develop its body temperature technology, and we can get into a little bit more details on why we think body temperature technologies will struggle. Those are blood-based solutions. We have a rich pipeline. We're starting with kidney. It's the most urgent need. Our system can be adapted to liver. We are doing whole eye transplantation with the University of or Stanford University through an ARPA-H grant. We have DoD funding for limb transplantation, but right now our main focus is on kidney. That's the furthest along in our pipeline. So let me just quickly jump to the raise, and then we'll take your questions. So we are in our seed round. We are raising $6 million. We've raised 3.6 of the 6 million, so we got roughly 2.5 left. The history of the capital, our founders have put in $3.7 million. Government grants have given us $9 million for a total capital raised of 16.2 million. We are offering a convertible note with a $12 million valuation cap or a 20% discount. If you guys continue your due diligence, you'd be joining the National Kidney Foundation, Mid-Atlantic BioAngels, Band of Angels. Paul Quadros, as Carrie mentioned, who's on the call today, led the due diligence with Band of Angels, Golden Seeds, Park City Angels. The capital gets us to our clinical study that will begin to take place later this year. The device has been finalized. We are currently doing benchtop testing, verification testing, and we are working with our regulatory team to get our IDE application ready for submission later this summer. I'll conclude before we take questions with, we're in the middle of our seed round, which the pipeline is full, in which we think we'll be able to close our seed round at the end of first quarter. And then we have to raise our Series A. Now, this always gives a little bit of concern because we have to raise $35 million for our clinical trial. We are running a dual process here where we have identified 2 lead investors, 2 large institutional VC investors who are willing to fund our clinical trial. They are waiting to give us a term sheet until they can read and understand the complete IDE application and what the FDA comes back to us with. So we have funding. We have a commitment for our Series A, $35 million. With that, I will stop, and Carrie, Paul, and I will take questions.
Thanks, Paul and Carrie. Can you talk a little bit about your IP? I don't think we dug into that.
Sure. So we have a very healthy IP portfolio. We can share it with you because it's a lot to take in, but specifically on the kidney, we have 6 patents filed. And we have multiple patents filed and received, among other applications and pipelines. So I'll follow up with a list as opposed to going through one-on-one, but we are covered there. And the proprietary fluid is held under trade secret, and we have an exclusive 20-year license with extension on it through our partners at Duke.
Very cool. There's some great names on your angel list of people who are already investors. Do any of them have due diligence reports they would be thrilled to share with us?
Yes.
Yeah. Paul, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And Series A.
I apologize. Because we're getting a little feedback, but so Park City Angels has a due diligence report. The due diligence was led by a transplant surgeon. He's happy to provide that due diligence report as well as speak to you live. Golden Seeds has a due diligence report. I'm happy to share that with you. Mid-Atlantic, we have 15 pages of Q&A. Happy to share the Q&A that we did with Mid-Atlantic. And then, as we mentioned, after the BioAngels investment, Paul Quadros beat us up so much that we asked him to join our board. So you're welcome. You're welcome to talk to Paul Quadros in your process as you guys work through due diligence.
I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
You had me at 3.7 million founders capital. I just love that. You've done a great job with that. Series A, just last thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to the group. What milestones will you need to have perfected to raise the 35 million this year?
So, okay, we have to get the device through verification testing, which we expect to happen later this by midsummer.
Yeah.
In parallel with that, we are collecting all the data and building our IDE application that we will present to the FDA late summer. Arboretum and 1435 Capital are waiting until they see that so they can evaluate that IDE. and see what the feedback is from the FDA. Now, these folks have come down to our lab. They have watched our surgeons work with the device during our GLP study. They have been following us now for close to a year now. It's that they are not seed investors, they are Series A investors. And what they specifically do is fund clinical trials.
Okay. Back.
After Nancy, then
Very exciting. I guess what I'm trying to get to is, you talk about the hardware as a service model, but at the end of the day, when I look at that loop, your software is the brain, isn't it? It's the brain that controls the heart rate, that controls the oxygen level. So are you doing clinical trial just based on the outcome? But you're the one that designing the software. Can you elaborate that for me a little bit? And also, are you using AI on your software?
Okay, so endpoints for the clinical trial. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I can help with that. The clinical trial is going to be based off of a non-inferiority clinical trial. The FDA actually encouraged us to go for non-inferiority, while our preclinical animal data awarded us breakthrough device because of the superiority of the outcome. But it's important to know that FDA said lower the bar and just go for non-inferiority. With that being said, the software is developed in-house. That is our own customized software. The software is driving a fully automated feedback control loop from the kidney that is pressure regulated. So the software picks up a pressure, and the pressure gives a feedback loop to the system so that we maintain a physiological heartbeat for that organ, for the kidney, in its custom need. With that being said, this is as a service, therefore, we manage and maintain all of this. And yes, today, when we go into the market, we will be capturing all of this data. And then tomorrow, which I say in the future, you can expect to see that we will be the first in the world to have a report card that is going to be using AI to and indicate predictive analytics, predictive modeling, and predictive outcomes. So that is coming, but it's not here today because we need to start gathering the information, but we enable that.
This will be a class 3 PMA trial, and the device and the Deval solution, it's a combination device. So what that means is you can't use the Deval solution without the device, and you can't use the device without the Deval solution. That creates a regulatory barrier for both products.
Okay, we're gonna have a lot of questions, so shorter answers if you can. Nancy.
Okay, it's impressive that your regulatory team did get you breakthrough designation, but can you just tell us about the team who you hired, and have they been in this space before, doing similar things so that they're familiar with the people?
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't. Paul, did you hear the question?
Our regulatory team, just speak a little bit about Lindsay, her experience with PMA class 3 devices, and all the help that they achieved with breakthrough device designation.
Yes.
Also in the space, in the same space, because if you're in the same space, you know the people, and then the wheels are kind of, it's much better, but just tell us about that.
Yeah, so our regulatory consultant has multiple experience clearing class 3 devices. She is well aware of the competitive landscape with what LifePort has accomplished from a regulatory standpoint, as well as Organox and Transmedics. That's why we specifically hired her. And then one of our co-founders, Varun, very extensive with regulatory clearance. who primarily wrote the breakthrough device application, which was granted in August of last year.
Oh, I'm sorry, Larry.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Both Pauls, good to see you again. Let me ask, what is the 35, this raise and the 35 million will get you how far through the FDA? Does it get you through phase 2 or just through phase 1 and 1B? And you didn't talk at all about your exit. Are you thinking about an exit at the end of phase 1, 1B, 2? Give us some idea of what the timing is, et cetera.
Good question. The 35 million will take us through regulatory approval. We plan to raise the 35 million in 2 or 3 tranches because we will get a readout of data halfway through the clinical trial. And it's typically that readout where you begin to see interest from strategic acquirers. Most PMAs actually don't move all the companies like ours. Most PMAs that the company typically gets acquired midway through the PMA process. I've paused on this screen here because this is our oxygenator is made by a company called Terumo. We specifically designed in Terumo's component because Terumo has been the most acquisitive in this space. In September of last year, they acquired a company called Organox for $1.5 billion. Organox had about $75 million in revenue. If we were to obtain 10% of the kidney market, we'd have roughly $35 to $45 million in revenue. So we are on the radar screen, and we are utilizing a component of the largest acquirer in this space as they vertically integrate. So that kind of gives you an indication of how we're thinking about an exit. But I will say, and Carrie and I, we say this at we are building a company that somebody wants to acquire. We are not building a company in which we're trying to sell it. Because if your goal is to sell, then you take shortcuts and it never gets to that point. So we're building a company that somebody wants to acquire. Sorry for the long answer.
Okay, so if you either want to run a company or get acquired, you got to get to revenue. So tell me, when will you be through the FDA? When will you be in revenue? If that's where you're headed. So are we talking 2 years to get through the FDA and, and 3 years to get to that revenue? Just give me some idea.
Full year FDA approval, fourth quarter of 2028. Midterm look on device, mid-2027.
Jeff.
So, along the same lines, your pipeline was incredible with the potential of other organs, right? So I think that begs the question of acquisition and how do you just segment that off or et cetera. And then what are you thinking about international markets, right? The US is small compared to the rest of the world it's from.
Yeah. So I'll take the international markets. The international market is clearly an opportunity for us. But any 10-person firm that tells you they're going to tackle the international market, at our stage, there is plenty of opportunity right here in the United States. And like I said, if we get 10% market share of the kidney market alone, we're a $50 million business. International market, well down the road for us. Organox is a European company. There's plenty of opportunity. Then for livers, why don't you talk a little about what we're doing there and our relationship with Organox and Terumo there, Carrie?
Okay. And to the point of international, that will be taken into consideration, that market share at an exit, of course, as well as pipelines. At that time, we'll negotiate. If the acquirer wants just one vertical, one pipeline component like kidney, so be it. Otherwise, the pipelines will also be taken into consideration to the valuation. The investment right now, although is the 12 million cap that is enabling these seed round investors who are coming in with us in such a critical time as this to be rewarded for, accordingly. The question related to liver, so we announced at the ASTS, that's the American Society of Transplant Surgeons, that was last week. We unveiled our room temperature preservation, room temperature blood-free oxygenated. At that meeting, I was approached by Dr. Peter Friend, the founder of OrganOx. They are very interested. We are in discussions. We do understand the value in assessment. So we're working together and in conversation. So I don't think our relationship is going to do anything but foster more closer, and together we will be strategically
Carrie.
aligned.
Thanks, Carrie. Maria, you got the last shot.
Oh, it's Sylvia online as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. So sorry. Okay, second to last shot.
Thank you. Larry already asked the question. Thanks for the 2028 FDA approval timeline. Two other quick question. First, in human study, is it published already or is it in the pipeline? And question two is the 55 customer targets, a good target segment. Any intent or letter of intent or letter of interest on adoption?
Oh, yes, we have letters of interest from the OPOs, from multiple OPOs. We're working with multiple OPOs in our preclinical data studies. One other question you asked, I'm forgetting.
Human data.
We don't have human data published because we don't have any human transplant data, but we do have the preclinical data published from our animal study. Something that's interesting that you may want to know, we have gone in our preclinical study all the way through to transplant. All of our competition in the market have not, they've only done simulation of transplant. So we've done the full transplant 3 times.
We've shown to be able to preserve a human kidney that can produce urine for up to 72 hours. Obviously, we don't have FDA approval, so we can't obviously do the follow-on transplant. We will have 15 to 20 OPOs in our clinical trial, and think about them as our first customers. So these are the folks that will already know our device post-approval. We've already essentially launched our device with half of our customer base, and they're anxious to be a part of our clinical trial.
We got to go to our last questioners, Sylvia.
Yes, my question is about the device itself. So you're saying it collects data and then it also evaluates. So there is technology on the device itself. Is it like
Yes.
Wi-Fi connected, or is
Yes.
how do you extract the data? How does it work? And does it need batteries?
It runs on battery. The batteries give up to 24 hours of automated, and then they're rechargeable. And the data is collected and transferred and stored in the cloud. And the information from the data, it flows through sensors. So that gives an automatic feedback loop. And this is GPS tracking.
GPS tracking.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you so much, Carrie and Paul. We will be back to you at most within 7 days. And we really appreciate your presenting.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Larry has volunteered to take
I have
notes.
a quick question.
Yes.
Can someone explain it to me like in layman's terms?
It's a heart-lung machine and a playmate.
What is it?
It's a heart-lung machine and a playmate. It literally pretends like it's a real functioning heart, oxygen.
If you don't do that, it only lasts a couple hours.
Yes, so the real key is that the ball stuff, the liquid that is floating through the kidney.
David, that's something. So let me explain. The problem is that up to 40% of the kidneys that are harvested, that are healthy at harvest, do not get into people. Okay, they don't get into people because the only thing you can do is freeze it and get it somewhere. Okay, so if you think about it, they get harvested during the day, they get flown somewhere, the doctor's making his decision at 1 AM. Okay, gets a phone call, kidney's coming, you get in there, and he looks at it, or she looks at it, and doesn't like the way it looks. They don't want to transplant a kidney they think is going to fail. So this allows you to, the most important thing here is that while, before you put it in, you can assess function. You can know that it's making urine and you can test the creatinine clearance until, so you get a functional assessment. I've still looked, she showed me some pictures of how it looks, which is sort of good, okay? And this does this not at body temperature, not in cold fluid, but at room temperature. It is both an environment of which the liquid is part of it, but there are other things within that box that Duke has developed that allows it to get to this. I'm saying if you believe that's their sort of opposition.
So is this a game changer?
It's a game changer if
Sounds
it works. If it works, you haven't, they've not done. I'd be going to a country and doing, you know, you can do human studies outside of the United States that are not the FDA, but.
Right.
Well, I have positive for negatives.
They're only kidney transplants. In Orange County, there's a lot of centers that would not transplant a lot of kidneys. UCI was the only place that took risk of taking some less than optimal kidneys because they want to get really high score rates because they want everybody to go to them and pay the top dollar for the transplant.
Yeah.
So there's ego among transplant centers, and that's why they wasted these kidneys.
That's a great point.
Oh,
There's
one more
also pros.
One
Pros.
really important thing is it's an presentation.
72 hours.
Now, you only have a few hours to get. This increases vastly the range in terms of where you can transport.
Right.
To, we were talking about international. Yeah. Every 48 hours, you could fly this anywhere in the world.
Or you could fly the units back here. That's international kidneys.
There's also the Nobel Economics Prize a few years ago went to Alvin Roth, who proved that he treated kidney transplants like a dating game and had people just donate, and then we'll find a match. Don't worry about having to find a match. You would have it like 10 to 23 times more kidney transplants. So the potential, she said 90% of these things are wasted. Like the potential is a huge multiple. And again, that's what an acquirer would pay for that. If it proves, yes, in fact, so many more kidneys will get transplanted in yield.
The other game changer, very like, the big screen too, is that this supposedly have a clinic and preserve based on the pig. Kidney simulation. So you're talking about not only preserving, but also restoring. So that's this truly a game changer if it works.
The other nice thing.
Nancy, our FDA expert.
My question to you is, if you haven't done the study, you know, FDA right now is very unpredictable unless it's cookie cutter. If it's cookie cutter, it's unpredictable. All the senior people have, most of the senior people have left. So you haven't done the study, so how can you support the time when they said they're gonna get approval because they haven't done the studies yet?
Right.
They don't know.
Good studies.
Then the question is, is that, if they don't, do they have a plan B when, you know, if they don't get it? And most of the time, especially with PABs, you get a request for additional information all the time. And so you have enough money to keep on going forward, seems to me.
That's a good con. So Q428 was the expected, if everything goes right, PMA clearance.
Everything doesn't ever go right.
Yeah. It's a really
I'm
good
sorry,
con.
just, yeah.
Who's the email on this?
So yeah, you got more positive.
They have FDA breakthrough designation.
Yep.
This is a totally reimbursed thing. You have there's a small market to of only 55. That, by the way, that's also a negative, but that's a positive. It solves a real problem if it works. They have an ability to set function. They have existing due diligence from a number of very well-known legal groups. I checked out some of their advisors already. The guy from the American Society of Nephrology, who was past president, is the real deal. And he likes something, he doesn't like a lot of things. It looks like I've not talked to him. I think that it's a fair valuation at 12 million, although I am a little worried it's one of my negatives because they've already raised more than $16 million and the valuation is less than that. And why is that? And there's potential for a lot of other things, other transplants and international. The negatives is, as Nancy pointed out, the FDA process is crucial here and it's unpredictable there. where the hell are they gonna get a $35 million raise? Everybody comes in and tells us they've already talked to strategics. The competition market, while they're making it sound like it's not very good, that once again, it doesn't take much of a competitor to come in and just, things work. That once again, you only have 55 people to market to, and if all of a sudden they have somebody else that's got something that's almost as good, they have absolutely no human data at all. And so there's a leap from pigs to humans, may not be a thing. So, and I will say, as you're thinking about it, I will be on the deal team, I will not be the deal. So somebody else can do that.
Well, that's another problem.
So is this a moonshot?
No, not a moonshot. It's a real, this is different than one of these 20 drugs we see for cancer.
Yeah.
Right, we don't know. I
Great
think,
point.
I think 5 years ago with a different FDA, that you would know, there's a group of people that do kidney stuff, that do transplant stuff. You could almost call them on the phone and say to them, if this came to you and looked at it, would you like it? I think it's sort of a cool thing that if you think about it, they don't have to show superiority. They have to show,
That's a big
the bar is very low to do that. So.
Larry, can they exit for 500 million in 3 years? Will they exit for 500 million in 3 years?
Well, I think they'll exit for a lot of money. He had an interesting thing. See, I think if he's talking about holding on to a company that will be, in order to get an exit shorter, you need to get a different team. That team looks like they're building a company. And so they may be in revenue, so I think it's.
You asked about revenue and their answers kind of sounded like, we're not even worried about that. We're just gonna get.
Because they may exit before.
Before 28.
No, but the other one, he said,
But George, did he talk about 10% of the market, which is about $50 billion?
True.
So which is
Yeah,
very, very easy.
that's a good point.
If they're really, if they get there, they should have a lot more than 10% of the market.
Yeah, that's right.
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 They should have 90% of the.
Yeah, and I don't think it's 55 customers. If they were to go international, which is what I think they should do, if they want to accelerate their timelines, then they can harvest around the world.
But yeah,
and bring it back and send it to
he's
us.
right, getting to international is not a.
I understand.
So the focus is like.
But you know, everybody does studies in Australia because there's fewer barriers and it's faster and it's easier, right? That was the.
They had the right answer. A company with
He had the right-
employees should not be talking.
Should not be talking about international.
Because we hate when people come in and tell
Well,
us.
except the last guys who already done first
So,
human
so
trials.
Jeff, look at this upside potential, but the focus is given their strategic advisors in the
You
US.
missed my point.
Huh?
We would get our money back.
No, the point is,
That's
one
what
part of
they
the
asked.
international
It's either
expansion
gonna be a whole lot more than that with an international plan.
Was the international play for
So,
faster.
so just want to clarify,
International.
One discussion at a time.
Borough designation.
Yeah, but it's
Hey,
cheaper
guys,
and
guys.
faster.
Murray's got the floor.
so maybe just a clarification, out of the 15 million they raised, 9 million is a grant.
Right.
Which is why they are evaluating the company a little bit lower, because it's only $5 million.
That's how you'd spin it. But plenty of companies that come in that have raised $9 million in grants and a couple $1 million, and their valuation is 25 million.
But I also got 3.7 million at founder cash, which tells me there is.
Oh, wow.
You know, they're underwater. They want to make sure this works. Greg, I just want to ask you, you've actually worked for CMS sort of kind of. End-stage renal disease was a huge miss on their part. In 65, they approved it. It'll just be a little bit. Now it's tens of billions. Does this solve a problem that is huge for the government? And would they be inclined to give it faster, better reimbursement?
I don't know if get faster, better reimbursement. I think they're gonna try to, from a Medicare perspective, they're gonna pay what they're paying right now for transplants. It's just that there's gonna be a lot more transplants.
So is that a negative?
Well, that's.
Well, they say.
Cost that much.
They're paying for dialysis. The thing that saves Medicare money is end-stage renal patients dying.
Right.
I got it.
Okay, but
So they like the back
money
door.
from dialysis to transplants.
Yeah.
You have a difference, and there's still follow-up, and so, but it's much cheaper than having, but we're gonna look at people being on dialysis for 20 years.
Anybody else have any other pros and cons?
I just have a comment. I know the Arboretum
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
I've worked for their company, been on the board with one of them, so if that's helpful as we get.
Good group.
Yeah, they're great.
Cons?
I'm going back to Jeff's question. Wouldn't it be easier to go international with all that idea instead of going through the FDA, which really is a problem today? We all know it's a problem and it takes a long time. Couldn't it be easier go international and get approval and, you know,
This
the hell with the
was,
FDA?
this was my point is, why didn't you use international markets to accelerate your times?
You don't know
And-
that, Jeff. They didn't answer that. You don't know whether they already plan to study international.
No, I asked them that and they gave me
But they
the
didn't tell
answer
you
that.
which sites. They didn't tell you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a DD question.
Yes,
They have sites in
it's a
international.
DD question. That was the reason I asked it, and they're clearly not thinking that. Which is to your point, they're building a long-term company starting in the US.
Okay, it's time to vote. People. Vote
All
with
right,
your money.
Jeff. What is it, Jeff?
Oh, it is 90.
100.
You always like, you have a penny to get like 10 of me. Next time you go first.
That's a smart way to do it.
Well,
This is crazy. I mean, bullshit for work.
everything.
On the right page, I know.
This is. Okay.
You're under group, I don't think that'd be interesting. Thank you.
I am not, for some reason, I am not on startup steroids.
Oh, I see.
I'll get it out. Show me down to 25,000.
All you gotta do is look at the total, subtract it from 90,000, and that's the number that you're gonna give Jay.
Do you want to? Larry, what would you put in there?
25.
I'll put it in for you. 25?
Wow.
It's not real money.
This is monopoly at this point.
Yes.
Interest not.
It's easy, add a zero, monopoly button.
Yeah, we put it.
This is monopoly.
It's really talking about is home libraries. This area of bad faith.
Yeah, oh, good, good. And we'll get access to their PD.
Yeah, that doesn't present a problem.
Oh, wow, we got a lot of monopoly money.
It's over 200.
Everybody wants to give it money.
Can you put up the QR code again? Yeah, I'm doing a few others. I'm just going around adding numbers to their thing there.
So who's leading?
I'll leave it.
Larry.
Oh,
I can do
you
it.
said you should
Yeah.
be there.
Oh, you wanna do it?
Thomas, let me introduce Thomas. Thomas does more work than anybody at TCA. See him,
Yeah.
and I shaved him. He's a man
You have to refresh it.
lead. I can show. I think I was interested here.
Very helps us filter all the bad.
You brought a good one, thank you for leading.
Oh, well, I can't take credit for that. I mean, that was, yeah, the turnout for this.
Hey, Larry, it's clear for the.
So do we have a total? Does somebody?
I predict
Total?
It's a lot of money.
195 or 190 plus whatever David just put in.
Right.
Yeah, 210.
210?
Yeah,
No, it was already in, so like 190.
190.
Okay, all right.
Take it.
So I'm not leaving.
Almost.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yes.
I wanna.
Hey, why did you put up a WhatsApp? I think it's you, right? You trying to put any money in? I didn't put some money in. Yeah, WhatsApp.
Can we move on to the next company?
Oh, thanks. You know what? Oh, really?
Yeah, this is all good question. Good question. I appreciate the pushback and that was great. Yeah. Right, we don't get anywhere with just happy talk.
Good morning, guys.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
We have Asad on the line from Oculus. As discussed, Asad, you'll have 12 minutes to present, followed by a 12-minute Q&A. So whenever you're ready, feel free to share your screen. You can kick it off.
Sounds good. Sharing my screen now. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
We can see your screen.
Okay, awesome. Let's get rolling then. Hi, everyone. Just as a matter of introduction, my name is Asad Naeem. I'm the CEO here at Oculus AI. There's a massive misconception in the financial services industry right now that AI is going to replace financial advisors. In my experience and working with high net worth individuals, I believe that is not true. In this world, relationships manage money. But right now, what we see is that those relationships are suffering because of the massive amount of paperwork that advisors have to go through. We aren't trying to replace the human. We're here to give them superpowers. I want to be clear about what an advisor's life is actually like. Today, 40% of their day is what I call dead time. It's not strategic. It's compliance logging, cleaning up the CRM data, typing up meeting notes, doing paperwork, and following up on requests that are sitting there in their service queue. It's manual, it's boring, and it completely kills their ability to grow. And this isn't just an annoyance. It's an incredibly expensive problem to have. The research is clear. If you give an advisor just 10% of their day back, their income doesn't just go up by 10%, it doubles. Why is that? Because that recovered time goes straight into the only two things that matter in an advisor's business, which is servicing clients and bringing in new assets. Now, if we zoom out, this efficiency problem is colliding with a massive demographic shift. On one hand, we have a massive supply shock, which is 1 in 3 advisors is retiring in the next 10 years. On the other hand, we have a demand explosion. $30 trillion in assets are going to be changing hands in the next 10 years as well. This math doesn't work. There simply aren't enough humans to actually provide this advice that is required by the massive shift in the assets. The only way the industry can survive is by leveraging technology and generative AI. Firms know this too. They're desperate for AI, but they're kind of stuck. The conversations that we have, we find out that they can't use ChatGPT or any of the off-the-shelf solutions because of data concerns and data governance. They can't use generic tools because they don't understand the regulatory and the compliance complexities. If you're managing someone else's life savings, good enough isn't acceptable. If it's not compliant, it doesn't exist. That is why we built Oculus, the industry's first agentic operating system. Think of Oculus as a factory for digital workers. We call it the agentic factory. It allows an enterprise to spin up bespoke AI agents that don't just listen, they execute on the workflows. Yes, we can handle the meeting notes, the internal knowledge base, the basic data entry, the form filling, but we believe those things are all table stakes and features, to be honest. We are trying to automate the complex front and back office workflows that actually strangle a firm's growth. Now, imagine an agent that doesn't just record a client's meeting and their request to open an account, but it actually goes to the back end, drafts the paperwork, checks it against the advisor's internal compliance rules, and tees it up for the advisor's signature. We aren't saving minutes on a call. We're automating the operational backbone here. Let's give you a bit of a peek under the hood. Most companies out there right now are building thin wrappers around models like GPT-4, Anthropic's Claude, any of those other ones that exist. We're trying to build an actual engine here. And it starts at the bottom. You can see that the chaos the advisor lives in. Custodians, CRMs, emails, tax software, portfolio management, service requests, tons of things to do, but none of these systems talk to each other. Our intelligent orchestration layer fixes that. It acts as the central nervous system that connects all these fragmented data silos and actually learns what the specific firm's workflows look like. On top of that, we sit the modular agentic framework. Now, this is the factor that I was mentioning earlier. It's not a monolith, it's like Lego blocks. If a firm needs a Roth conversion agent or a new account opening agent, we don't have to rewrite the software. We just snap that capability in. That makes us extremely agile. But the real reason why we win with enterprise companies is our compliance and auditability core. Think of this as the guardrails. In this industry, you cannot have a black box. You need to know why the AI is doing what it is doing, and why is it recommending things, why is it going to certain tools. We solve this trust barrier by logging every single thought, action, and the decision the agent makes, what tools they use, when they're recommending something, why are they getting the data, from where they're getting the data. So we turn the AI into a glass box that compliance officers can actually audit. And since we've built our architecture in this way, it works immediately as well. If you look at our deployment with Dynamic Wealth, our early results are showing very promising figures. We don't just save them some time. We've dropped clients' response times by 83%. We have essentially deleted meeting prep from their calendars. So now it's a one-click action that takes them minutes to do rather than hours. We've cut the time it takes to onboard new clients by 50%, and we've made compliance a breeze. Before, the compliance teams were spending half their day answering inquiries from their advisory clients, but now that's dropped down to minutes because Aculus can act as the first layer for the inquiry questions that are coming in and draft up a response in a matter of minutes. So we're turning hours of work into seconds or minutes. And we have a very clear 3-step plan to dominate this market. Right now, we're executing on the beachhead. This is going to be with Dynamic Wealth Advisors. And we're trying to convert our 50+ paid wait list into 50+ advisory wait list into paid users. Over the next 6 months, our plan is to expand into the broader RIA market by targeting the top 500 RIA firms. And then the last phase, once we have taken the learning lessons and we have used the data that we're collecting to really solidify the product, to close a massive broker-dealer enterprise pilot. We're talking about Ameriprise with their 10,000 advisors, Raymond James with the thousands of advisors as well. And the best part is, while we're building this, we aren't begging people to try our product out. The market is already pulling for us. We're deeply embedded in Crestview Capital. That's a $500 million firm. They are basically our lab. So we stress test everything that we build in a real operating RIA environment before we ship any code. This testing is what gave Dynamic Wealth, which is a $5 billion AUM RIA, the confidence to sign with us. Based on the early results we have, they've opened up their entire network to us. That is over 100 advisors plus their support staff. So this equates to the 50+ advisory teams that I mentioned earlier. And our path to the first 100 customers is already mapped out. In addition to Dynamic Wealth, we're finalizing POC terms and with conversion triggers, mind you, with PFG RIA, which is another RIA that's managing over $3 billion in assets, and Liberty Street Advisors, which is another $3 billion shop. And just recently, we had a large Fortune 500 bank reach out to us to open up a conversation about how we can play a part in their AI strategy. Our initial beachhead is going to be the RIA market, which is a $5 billion opportunity. But make no mistake, the total market for financial workflow automation is a $100 billion prize. And we're just getting started in this. If you look at the competition, you'll see a lot of wrappers. You have generic tools like Microsoft Copilot, Salesforce, Agentforce that are way too broad and not fully compliant. You have niche tools that do just transcription or other single point operations, but they don't fully understand the compliance and the regulatory complexities, so they don't get deployed. We're the only ones building a full vertical operating system that connects the data to action compliantly. And our business model is simple. We are a high margin SaaS. We're going to be charging $500 per advisor per month. And it's really priced to be a no-brainer when it comes to advisors signing up with us. Now, one of the most important questions in vertical SaaS is, why us? Why our team? Well, to be quite frank with you, I didn't read about this problem in a report. I lived it. I started my career as a financial advisor in 2012. I sat in that seat and I felt the pain of spending half my day on admin work. And the hard truth is, I actually tried to solve this problem in 2016 with my first startup, Fortuna AI. But back then, we realized really quickly that the AI technology wasn't ready and the tech couldn't match the vision that I had for what we were trying to achieve. So we pivoted, and I eventually sold that company in 2022 to a large enterprise partner. After taking a bit of break, I built Discover Data with my co-founder, Hassan. We scaled it to over 1 million in ARR in 14 months and eventually ended up exiting that to a private equity company in 2024. This problem has always been top of mind for me. Even when I was building Discover Data, I kept thinking about the admin issues and the legacy way of doing things in financial services. I believe now the tech is ready. So I connected with Hassan again, who was back as our CTO, and we brought in Tom and Brian, who just happened to be one of our first clients with my first startup, Fortuna. In the meantime, as we were building Discover Data, Tom and Brian built a $500 million RIA for themselves as well. And they used the technology that we had in our first startup to kind of do that. I believe we have the tech experience, the exits, and the deep industry DNA to fix this problem. Aside from the immediate team, we're also guided by, I would say, some of the very best in the industry. Jim Cannon, who's the CEO of Dynamic Wealth, he isn't just an advisor for us, he's also a customer proxy. Farouk Malik, who's the CEO of Rain, which is a $2 billion fintech out of New York. He serves as our strategic advisor. And Dr. Tariq, who's a world-renowned expert in AI, machine learning, and NLP. She's currently building the AI tech stack for healthcare at the Mayo Clinic. She's a chief technical advisor, basically making sure that our AI architecture is world-class. This experience and the guidance that we have, I believe we see a clear path to 10 million in annual recurring revenue by 2029. And this is very achievable with the pipeline that we have and the current signed program with Dynamic Wealth. We're trying to raise 1.5 million to pour fuel on this fire. This capital gets us to 3 clear milestones in the next 18 months. 100 plus paying advisory teams, which is going to be around about 250 users, 1 billion in ARR, and securing our first major broker-dealer enterprise pilot. As founders, we have invested about $150,000 in cash and obviously our time and energy into building this solution to solve a real-world problem. And we're raising on a safe note. We have about 175K committed, in the bank, 300K committed, and we're looking for strategic partners to close out the round. I'll leave you with this one final thought. The wealth industry is consolidating. The big players are buying innovation to survive. By building the compliance core and the agentic AI operating system for financial services, Aculus is positioning itself as an inevitable infrastructure partner for the entire industry. We have the team, we have the tech, and for the first time, I believe the timing is perfect. Thank you for giving me a chance here. I'd love to answer your questions.
Thanks a lot, Asad.
Of course.
Hey, I'm going to quote you back from your compliance. It said built in SOC, SEC, FINRA guardrails, and 85% reduction in compliance risk variance. What do those things mean? And what's your evidence that you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just go back to that slide there. This one right here. Yeah, so basically the compliance and auditability core is kind of the central hub of everything that we do, right? One of the biggest things is with the generative AI deployment in financial services is how do you trust what the AI is saying? Where is it getting the information? How is it presenting it out to the final user? And then what exactly is the thought process behind it? The way we've built the tool is that compliance teams can actually audit every single query that's run by the users. They can see where the AI is pulling the data from. Is it getting it from the internal knowledge base? Is it getting it from the customer documentation that the advisors have attached to Aculus? Or is it getting it from the SEC FINRA guidelines and rule books that we built into this? So that's what that looks like. In terms of the compliance variance risk, that is a use case that we built an agent for Dynamic Wealth. Essentially, what they do is they run a monthly report on all of the clients. These are going to be the consumer clients that they have with them. All of the households, what their risk tolerance questionnaire scores are. So let's say, their growth, aggressive growth, whatever the case is. And then the portfolios that the advisors are designing for them. What is the risk score on those portfolios? So this work currently is done manually. So somebody has to go in, grab a report of all of these households, figure out what the risk questionnaires are, and then do another report on the portfolios to figure out what the risk scores of those portfolios are, run a pivot table, generate a report, give an answer back. It takes a week to do this. And this is with a firm that has 20,000 financial accounts. Some of the larger firms that have 80, 90, 100,000 accounts, this is an even longer process. So typically speaking, this takes about a week. With Aculus, since we have access to all the different data silos, they just build a workflow going, hey, we need to do this. Here's the parameters. And then we can finish that work in a matter of hours rather than it taking days. So that's what that number comes from.
So is 85% a good number? Like, I think 100% would be a good number.
Well, 85% is the reduction in time. It's not the actual variance itself. It's the reduction in time it takes to generate the reporting on that.
Okay, that's the key. David.
Yeah, so interesting presentation. I'm trying to think about its applicability to wealth managers. So I have questions relating to operationalizing it.
Yeah,
Number
absolutely.
one, example of a current customer. What is the market that you're going after? Are you going after the UBSs, Merrill Lynch's? Are you going after George Carpenter, RIA, and Persona?
We are going after the RIAs.
And tell me what they're actually using it for, and then I have follow-ons on the operation part.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not going after the UBSs, the Merrill Lynch's of the world just yet. That is a market that might be interesting to us later on. Right now, we're focusing on the RIA market specifically, and even more specific between $1 and $10 billion in assets under management. We find that to be a good sweet spot for us to have the conversations quick enough have the sales cycles not be extremely long, and then be able to demonstrate value to them within days of getting set up. In terms of the actual use cases, the first major customer that we have is Dynamic Wealth. And Dynamic Wealth, when we initially started with them, we obviously went through the whole, POC process, and then we once that was successful, we went into the actual deployment piece of it. The way they're using it right now is twofold. One is the actual users on the front office, and then there's the back office component of it as well. Initially, we started out purely as a front office, tool where the advisors could build the agentic AI to do customer onboarding, answer questions, do research, tee up queries, grab the notes from the different data silos, and build a complete picture of a client's life cycle, essentially. But then when we went into the back office a little bit, we thought the compliance team was going to be a big hurdle for us to get through. Funny enough, it turned out they became our biggest champions in the back office, because what we've been able to do is they've been able to tell us, hey, we're trying to do this. This is what we do manually today. And then we can spin up an agent within a matter of hours that essentially automates that entire workflow. The biggest use case being the compliance screens.
Time out. Shorten the answer, but I have a question. What's the agentic part of it?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you helping them make decisions on? I'm trying to think through an RIA's workflow.
Yeah.
I know a little about it, so I'm trying to figure it out. What do you help the RIA make decisions about?
Yeah.
So it's less so a decision engine, more so a workflow automation engine, right? So the current workflows that they're running from a compliance point of view, instead of them having to manually go fetch all the data, analyze it, and build a report, which can take a very, very long time depending on the number of accounts they have, they can use Aculus right now very, very quickly to fetch all the data, analyze it, build a report. The agentic part of this is that it's not a full-fledged LLM model that's going and doing this work. The orchestration layer is the LLM that understands the query, and then it understands what other tools and other agents to call below that surface to generate that answer.
What's your patents or other intellectual property protection?
We don't have any patents on this tech. Our intellectual property is in the architecture and the workflow automation piece of it, where that's proprietary to us, because we have been in the industry for 24 plus years combined experience, and the workflows and the understanding on how the compliance rules need to apply, I think is pretty unique to us.
Yeah, go ahead.
So recently, Anthropic announced like a legal tool which wiped out a lot of legal AI software, businesses. How do you see a parallel with your software and some LLM like Anthropic or Perplexity coming out with a tool?
Yeah, absolutely. So legal enterprise AI has been around for a little bit of time. Obviously, Harvey was the one that kind of went in and disrupted that entire marketplace. What we see is that in extremely regulated marketplaces where you have SEC rules, FINRA rules, and then you have state regulatory rules as well, the larger enterprises have shied away from that. We don't believe the ICP is the same for us as it is for Anthropic. And we've seen this over and over again with other companies as well, right? So yeah, Anthropic can go and build this. Sure, Microsoft can do it as well. So can Salesforce. But if you take a look at the example of Viva Systems, which is a CRM that is specifically built for the pharmaceutical industry, it is built on top of Salesforce. The question can be asked to the same company as well. Why isn't Salesforce just taking all that business for themselves? It's because the ICPs don't match up one-to-one, and the regulatory burden and the liability of managing all of that is quite a risk, right? They're building for 99% of the market there. We don't care about that. We just want to build for the 1% with the rules, specifications, and the compliance and regulatory framework.
So are you connecting to CRMs, or are you replacing a CRM?
No, we're connected to CRM. So we can integrate with Salesforce, Redtail, Wealthbox right now, with plans of integrating with additional software tools later on.
All right. So when you say you're helping with the admin piece, you're preparing emails but not sending the email, right?
That's correct. So the last execution piece is a human in the loop piece because of the regulatory requirements around this. So the system, let's say if we stick with the email example, a customer inquiry comes in going, hey, I'm looking to do a Roth IRA conversion. Here's my statement. Here's the things that I'm looking for. Aculus can go ahead, ingest all of that, and build and draft up an email response for the client going, hey, based on your scenario, based on your risk tolerance, based on your current portfolio, this is what the best outcome should look like. that gets notified to the advisor reviews it, and then they can manually send it out by hitting a single click button. So we make it easy, but we're not going to send that final piece out because of the regulatory requirements right now.
So it is analyzing the data on behalf of the advisor, but
that's correct.
And providing the advisor with suggestions, but not actually submitting it.
That is correct. So anything that's to do with the end consumer, right now, that has to be a human in the loop. It's not a technical limitation. It's a regulatory limitation currently.
No, I got it, but yeah, thank you.
Do we have anybody online asking a question? We're gonna go to James next.
When did you start this company, and do you have any existing revenues right now?
That's correct. So we started this company in 2025. We're running about 60K in run rate currently.
In the relationship with Dynamic, you've got you're sort of your first demonstration client and also kind of a mentor. Have they approached you, talking about acquisition at any point, or is it the kind of group that would buy you and exit?
Not yet. The way we're positioning Aculus is for an acquisition by one of the larger players like the custodians, the TAMP providers as well, because in this market, what we see is those are the guys that are going out and buying innovation to keep the assets sticky. An example would be the acquisition of Redtail, or MoneyGuide Pro by a custodian, and then Redtail by Orion. So that's our acquisition target. We haven't had those conversations, but that is not saying that's not something that can happen in the future.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right, Asad, thanks so much. We will be back to you within no more than 7 days.
Sounds good. I appreciate the time. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.
Exactly.
Thank you. Bye.
We have a volunteer for note taking.
Oh,
thank you, Alden. Awesome. That doesn't mean you're leading the deal.
No.
I can say this. Exactly. So pros.
Hugh Coleman just asked me to drop in with a 25K form to BMI by law.
Who did?
Hugh Coleman.
I love that guy.
So we are officially over 200K.
Oh,
Nice.
and she didn't vote, and she said she was gonna do 10 too. She couldn't vote because of her.
So we're ready for 200.
I have to.
Okay.
Sorry to get off track then.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I think it was like 112 was our highest.
That's right.
So.
No, that's not that.
When you wear a hat for the presentation, you not want to invest.
This was the only thing that I took away was.
Wait, go ahead.
You
What is
should
a
not
baseball
wear a
hat to
hat,
raise
a
money?
baseball hat.
To raise money.
Presentation to raise money.
Have you not heard of millennials?
Yeah, we have. I mean, I've heard of this
Not a
not investing.
millennial.
And if you're gonna wear a t-shirt, it should have your company's logo on it.
But the sweater was a nice touch.
Although I'm gonna say that your t-shirt, is.
I'm not raising money. I'm not raising money. I don't want it anymore.
All right, cool. So how about pro?
We get back down to.
No, he's here for the poker game.
Okay. So are there any pros? I will say, I really like companies that are going deep tech on some narrow area and using AI for that. I'm not sure this is one of them, but I like people who got a narrow slice.
Did we screen
Right.
this?
Yeah.
Hold on. First of all, the market is relatively large. There are a lot of independent RAs. That's why I asked the question, who are they going after? There's no way in hell they're gonna go after the major wirehouses. That makes
Right.
no sense.
Right.
Because of compliance, governance issues, they will be wiped out. They wouldn't even have a prayer, at least for the next 10 years, in my mind, or worse. So they're going after RIAs. If you remember, Dan Copeland used to be one of our, RIAs. He has a small little group of 2 RIAs to 10 RIAs. And they don't have the staff, so they're looking to automate the work. So they're doing, as he said, they're doing workflow automation. Okay, that's the real key. They have a very specific target. They don't replace CRM, they can integrate with it. However, on the other side, there are a list of other concerns, like lots of competition. It's workflow. He used the word agentic, but it's not decision-making per se, because you have compliance issues. So you can't really just say, push a button and just let it go. You have to have what they call a human in the loop. So I think this would be, what I call in my terms, a better mousetrap. And if you look at a better mousetrap, the returns on better mousetraps are really not that great vis-a-vis the BMI organ, which is transformational. So this is at the lower end of the spectrum in investing. It's your barbell that have an exit, but the exit wouldn't be substantial.
Did he say how much he charges a customer?
Yeah, he had.
Oh, yeah. 400.
Yeah, and I think that's really high relative to what you can do yourself with agentic. You can hire, JJ's son to do it for cheaper. I'm trying to get business.
You will.
Yeah, I probably will. And you can do it with the current systems out there. In fact, if you look at the commercials for ChatGPT, they actually have use cases for similar types of things to aggregate data, combine it. It's really easy to do. Once you set up the custom GPT, you just let it roll. So they don't have anything that's patentable, demonstrable, different, and sustainably different. That's the issue. Can they make money? Yeah, he has some people that are currently customers. That's the positive news. They have trials. They have, slight revenue. I just don't think they're going to be a big hitter.
Any other positives?
No.
I mean, it looks like he has.
More negatives than positives.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's built in the space.
Yeah. We didn't ask how much money they put into it, but I have to believe it's under 50K.
He did. Sorry, 150K.
150? Wow. Surprised at what he spent money on.
And
Development.
it's an 8.5 million free, which is, I think, very high for what you're getting.
Well, they're only 10 million by 2029.
That's-
The
yeah.
market's gonna like blow past.
Yeah, so their
that was
return
not
on
venture
that
capital.
was, given where they are on AI and the other changes in the competition, they may get a 3-4x multiple, won't be enough to turn anyone's head.
So if you're also providing feedback, some of those stats that they put up early on really turned me off. Like they just
10%, 2x.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
seem totally unlikely to be true.
That, yeah, they were squishy.
He was lying.
He was lying. He was lying to me in a baseball cap.
Cardinal sit.
I have a hunch I see where this one's going pretty quickly.
Do we have anybody who's got strong conviction about this pro or con?
Well, a lot of the
Yeah.
mid-level RIAs are already doing this stuff, like Red Pill. He was talking
Yeah.
about buying Red Pill.
Yeah.
Red Pill is great because they got workflows in there that you can easily do it for one advisor office.
Yeah.
And SagePoint already has their things and they're really big into compliance. Madison Avenue, which is sort of a mid to little.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
That's something I can buy. So, and I was using all of those products. I used Salesforce and Salesforce was.
So would you buy this?
You're not an RIA though.
No, because I didn't want to spend extra money dealing with the state and everything. So I joined SagePoint, Madison Avenue, all of these other ones.
Okay,
So you're a domain expert.
So would you buy this?
So their competition, Altitude, Jump AI, Mile Marker, Amazon, I didn't hear those come out.
Yeah, because all of these moderate to large RIAs already have systems because they know what they want for their compliance. Because they have the regulatory compliance and then they have their own to make sure that the liabilities decrease.
Correct.
So, because I don't want you doing, all of these other things, maybe the other person will. So some of these RIAs let you do more things.
Well, the
Some of them
lower
restrict
level
them.
RIAs, the ones that use, for example, Fidelity, LPL is that, as their
Oh,
clearing house,
it's
whole
big.
different story.
Yeah, LPL is big.
Well, I have to assume LPL will have some services for their
Oh, yeah,
RIAs as
they have,
well.
they have all their own.
I don't know if they rebrand Jump or whoever.
Well, they have their own that they put in, because I was with the person I was with.
Okay.
And so all of these companies have their own way of doing things and the way they like to see things come in.
Got it.
So you gotta conform to what they want. And so that's what
So you're making a convincing argument not to invest. Pretty good.
well.
I've asked him 3 times if he would buy it.
Yeah, I mean, as a single person, you have 2 or 3 people in your office that are doing all of this to make sure you're compliant before you send it in, because you have to be. So you have a live person there looking at it.
Even in these small RIAs, we have one back office.
Oh, yeah, and that back office person is in charge of making sure they
Right,
comply
right.
before you send it in.
Yes.
So this doesn't necessarily help because their workflow is gonna be the same.
Yeah, by the way, 10 billion AUM is not an insignificant,
No, that is
RIA.
not, because most of those single office RIA, 2 or 3 people. in
Yeah,
the
they're more
office.
like less than $50-100 million of
Yeah.
AUM.
Okay. That's good. Can we vote? Everybody.
We already did.
Oh, sorry. I put my head down on my desk for 5 seconds. Okay.
Jeff, what's going on?
I say 10.
I don't think they.
I just, come on. Somebody may be a Dodger fan.
So real quick, I wanna introduce our guests. We have 2, I think, still online. Marie Hong.
Hi everyone, this is Ray. And you actually gonna play video. Can you see?
Yes, we can see you.
Perfect.
I'm currently in San Diego, and the majority of my career I have been focusing on medical device, so strategic marketing, product development, and eventually portfolio management. My last corporate role was general manager for a business unit. And during that tenure, I actually covered different sectors on the medical device, surgical instruments and interventional cardiology, and later on a bit of imaging from the ultrasound side and life science instrument as well. So I'm really happy to be here and listening in to the opportunities that you guys got to see, and very excited to see the very active discussion regarding the deals.
So are you looking to be an investor joining us, or are you looking to be a entrepreneur?
Well, more from the investor side. I think I'm not brave enough to become an entrepreneur myself, maybe because I spent many years doing product development.
No, we want you as an investor, that's why I asked.
We like that.
I want to introduce you to Med.
Hi.
Thank you, Ray. Nice to have you. We look forward to meeting you in person. And we also have Lena Vergara.
And we'll reach out to you.
Thank you.
Tell us a little about yourself while we play the background music.
Are you talking to me, Lena, or are you still?
Yes, Lena.
Okay.
Lena.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not really a corporate type. I'm a real estate investor. I have about 50 million under management. It's just my own portfolio though. I'm an electrical engineer and I have a degree in mathematics too. So I'm kind of like a numbers person. And that's what I brought to my career as a real estate investor. I'm married to a physician, pediatrician here locally. And so, you know, I'm interested in what I am interested in being an investor, not a, you know, but, you know, I'm interested in what you're doing, all your lively discussion. It's very interesting to me. You know, I can see you have some different, you know, expertises that are out of my wheelhouse, but very interesting to me. And so basically, I've been doing this for about 25 years. And, you know, so that's just me in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Great
We have
background.
a family membership if you want to bring your husband.
No, I would like to bring my husband. He's close to retiring, but you know, he has more of a medical expertise than I do. And I can see you do a lot of medical type things. So that's why it is of interest to me.
I like your engineering background on this side of the room, by the way.
Yes.
Thank
To let you know.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lena. We look forward to having you join us.
Thank you.
And I think we've got one sponsor, Bart. Bart Greenberg.
Hey.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Bart Greenberg, Pivotal Law Firm. Still doing the same stuff. We're working with startups, helping them get organized, helping them to get their funding in place, typically organized angel, friends and family, venture capital rounds. We work with them on their exit, which tends to be a merger and acquisition event. And we work with them on all the stuff in between, general contract work, equity incentives to team members. And so we just renewed. So we've our sponsorship. We've been involved with the group for over 25 years, or at least firms I've been affiliated with. And so think about us, and we appreciate opportunities to help you guys and help out people who need some legal advice. Thank you.
Fantastic. We really appreciate it, Mark. Okay. Anybody have any parting words? Larry?
Where is the night meeting going to be in 2 weeks?
It is going to be here. So, yeah, I'm not sure about this room, but it will definitely be in West Cliff. They've been gracious enough to give us a location after One Digital went, our guy at One Digital went off to another company. So this is our location. I'm not sure whether we'll have fire dancers or not, but we will definitely have great food. The tile is.
In preparation for a conversation with BMI Oregon, do we have a fund with any money in that could invest in those?
No, and we won't by the time we get to close with them.
And do we have an SPV vehicle if they have a?
Right here. Yeah, we got SPV hub or sidecar. Yeah, I have to put them in as well. Sorry about that. But we have agreements with both sidecar, SPV hub.
We know what their minimum investment is.
Agreements.
No, we're gonna find out.
ourselves?
So the SPV does cost money. The question is, do we need it? I forget what was the minimum on BMI
We're
Oregon.
gonna ask.
Yeah,
We got 200,000 going in. We should-
right,
Yeah,
right.
You can do an SPV for 200 grand.
Oh, but I mean-
What's the number, about 7K for 10 years?
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
but Dave, I mean, what do we need to do SPV?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So we'll find out what the minimum is.
Yeah, I like really complicated stuff.
Please, give me more.
Well, with an SPV, you won't get it very complicated. So you shouldn't join the SPV.
Oh,
That should be a part of our feedback to the company is what's the minimum?
I got on
Great, excellent.
Yeah, you can also ask the company if they have their own SPV. A lot of us don't like investing in somebody else's SPV, but if they have one and it's open, that may be another way to do it.
Okay, great meeting. Thank you. I think the nice thing for me is everybody has an opinion, and I think we heard it. So.
Sure. So we find ourselves in an awkward situation where the food delivery is a little bit behind. They're going to deliver at 12:23.
Right.
Great. If you want food, there's time to sit around and catch up.
By the way, last Friday, just an FYI, last Friday I did an online presentation on a couple of different things, ways to look at value of the deals coming in relative to transformational things. What they call, more like better mousetraps and things like that, and then a talk on